A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Kroger Tenderay Beef, no other beef so fresh, can be so tender, presents Hearts in Harmony, transcribed. K is for Kroger, C is for cut, B is for beef. KCB means Kroger cut beef, and Kroger cut beef means more meat for your money. Yes, friends, Kroger cut beef gives you more meat, less waste. And here's why. Before the meat is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess bone, excess waste, and stringy ends. Remember, that's before the meat is weighed and priced. And it's the very top U.S. government grades of beef that's tender, juicy, rich red, and marbled with just the right amount of flavory fat. So you see, you get a better value in top-grade beef. Now, to give you an example, let's take a Kroger cut rib roast. Before the roast is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes the short rib end, the waist, and trims the chine bone. You don't pay roast price for the short rib end and waist. And no matter whether you buy a Kroger cut steak or roast, you receive more meat, less waste. So don't forget, that's at your Kroger store. See for yourself by visiting your neighborhood Kroger store soon. Make it a rule to buy Kroger cut beef and get more meat for your money. And now, Hearts in Harmony. Wealthy Mrs. Carrie Carlton, though she loves Penny Gibbs as if she were her own daughter, is set against the marriage of Penny and her son Barry. Penny doesn't know this yet, and as she prepares to visit Mrs. Carlton, the telephone rings.
Oh, golly, I'll get it. Hello?
Hello, Penny.
Good morning, darling. Or should I say afternoon? It's after 12.
A fine secretary you must be. You don't know whether it's morning or afternoon, and you aren't even in your office.
No, Frank had to go out of town today, so we closed the office and gave me a holiday.
Oh, that's why no one answered the phone at Carter's office then. Well, look, are you doing anything this afternoon?
Yes, darling. As a matter of fact, I am.
Look, you can call it off. I have to attend to some stuff for Mother at the bank at 2 this afternoon, and then I'll be through by 3.
Oh, no, Barry, I can't call it off. It's important.
All right, so it's important. I'll tell you what, I'll let you have the afternoon to yourself, and whatever's so important, if you'll spend the evening with me.
You think we should?
Look, we're not children. If you haven't decided anything yet, we'll just go out, have a good time. Dinner and dance at the club if you want. Or drive out into the country. Yeah, we could visit our mountain.
Oh, darling, I'd rather we didn't.
I bet that mountaintop's been lonesome without us, Penny.
Oh, Barry, I've missed it too, but I don't think we should.
Oh, come on now. A mountaintop won't hurt you.
You know you're doing something you promised you wouldn't. You're trying to influence me.
You think seeing our mountaintop will influence you, do you? Well, swell. We'll go there tonight.
Oh, darling, no, don't insist on it.
It'll be good for both of us. If we can't talk about us, at least we can talk about the house we'll build up there someday.
That's talking about us, darling. Barry, please, I don't want to go to the mountain.
Well, we'll talk about that later. But dinner and the club are okay, huh?
Well, dinner anyway. We'll see how we feel after dinner.
Well, I'll pick you up at, say, 7:30. How's that?
I'll be ready.
All right, I'll be there.
Barry, you didn't tell me what your mother had to say about us last night.
It's not important. Not right now. I'll tell you about it tonight.
I'm anxious to hear it. And I'll tell you all about why tonight, too. Goodbye, darling. And please, let's think about another place to go instead of the mountain.
Come in.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Carlton.
Oh, Penny, my dear, come in.
I'm sorry I'm early, but I had...
That's quite all right, my dear. Penny, you look more beautiful every time I see you.
I don't know how I can look anything but a mess. I've been working so hard.
So I hear. I can understand you're working for a young lawyer.
Yes, Frank Carter. It's interesting work, even though he's just getting started.
The starting days of a business are usually interesting, Penny. There's not only the struggle of work itself, but the ordeal and anxiety of finding it. Just sit down here on the sofa beside me, will you, my dear?
Mm-hmm.
I saw the Reverend Dr. Judson the other morning. He tells me you're doing splendid work for the church.
I'm certainly trying my best.
Your best is always good, according to Dr. Judson. I want to come to see your stepfather when it's convenient for him to see me, Penny.
You want to see Jack?
Yes, about the community house. Dr. Judson insisted that I choose the architect, and I can think of none better than Mr. Billings.
Oh, he'll be thrilled to do it for you, Mrs. Carlton, and it won't cost a cent.
Oh, but it will. I'm going to build the finest community house the church has ever had. I want good work from Mr. Billings, and I'm going to pay for it. Well, before Barry gets back from the bank and finds out I've been talking to you, I think I'd better get to the matter I want to see you about.
It's about Barry, isn't it?
Partly, and partly about you. But then I think whatever concerns one of you concerns you both, doesn't it?
Yes, Mrs. Carlton, it does.
My dear, Barry has come back to Rossville to marry you. Everything that stood in your way when Barry went away stands in your way now. He's the same person he was. Nothing has changed except that now he has decided he will and he must marry you. What do you think of it, Penny?
I don't know what to think about it. I've thought about it for 2 days and 2 nights, and I haven't had any sleep since Barry's gotten back.
Well, have you talked to your mother?
Yes, and to Jet, too. They both feel that I've been making a mistake.
And so do I.
Why, Mrs. Carlton?
I'm sorry if I've disappointed you, Penny, or surprised you. And I know you must be one or both. But believe me, there is no one outside of you and Barry who would get more happiness out of your marriage than I. I was the one who let him go ahead and offer marriage to you, knowing all the time how wrong it was. I should try to make amends for that error by telling you and Barry to go ahead and get whatever happiness you can.
Why don't you think we should? Why wouldn't a few years of happiness be much better than none?
Because the memory of them would be blotted out for the horror of the years that would follow. My dear, I know. I went through the happy years with Barry's father, but the years when he began to fail were so long, so cruel, so terrifying, that I honestly cannot remember that I was ever happy.
I might be able to.
It's too great a risk, my dear. Isn't it better for you to live the rest of your life with the pleasant dreams of what might have been?
I don't know. That's one of the questions I'm trying to answer for myself.
You can't answer it yourself, my dear. You'd have to experience such a thing to know the horror of it and the constant heartache that will follow it, all the way to your grave. Believe an old woman, my dear. Believe a woman who has lived for almost a quarter of a century with a broken heart and memories that would shame the most fantastic nightmares.
Mrs. Carlton, you speak only of protecting me. I'm not thinking only of myself. I'm thinking about Barry, too. If he wants to marry me, the least I can do is to consider his side of it.
He won't suffer as you will, Penny. If the same thing that happened to his grandfather and his father happens to him, he won't be aware of it. He won't see the slow change, the deterioration, the failing. He'll be dead for years before he dies. But you'll be alive all that time, seeing him, looking at him, caring for him, loving him, and trying to get the man you love to look at you and show just one faint sign that he knows who you are.
Oh, Mrs. Carlton.
And what happiness will you bring Barry by marrying him? He knows what'll happen and how he'll be, and he'll live in terror of the first sign that something is happening to him. And he'll look at you and have to realize that from then on, for as long as he lives, he'll hurt you, and hurt you more and more. You don't want him to know he's breaking your heart, do you? Breaking your heart and being helpless to do anything about it?
It's almost too incredible to believe, Mrs. Carlton. I wonder if you'll excuse me. I think I'll go.
Like riding tonight, Penny?
Mm-hmm. But we're not driving to the mountain, are we, Barry?
Well, by some strange coincidence, we're on the highway to the mountain road. We could
Barry,
go.
please, I'd rather not.
All right. It didn't work, did it?
What didn't work?
Well, I didn't mention it at dinner. I thought you'd forgotten, and I could get you on the mountain road before you realize it. Then we'd have to go to the top. There's no place to turn around. Tricky, huh?
Mm-hmm. Darling, let's stop here at that parking space and watch the river.
Swell. That paddle wheeler should come chugging along from Wayne City pretty soon. That'll be something to see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, will this spot be all right?
Oh, yes, darling. It's lovely.
And you're lovely everywhere.
Thank you. Oh, what a nice night.
Mm-hmm.
Look at those boys out there in that canoe.
Yeah, I saw them. I wouldn't mind being out with them either. You like canoes?
No, they frighten me to death. They tip over too easily.
Oh, no, they don't. Why, canoes the safest craft afloat, if you know how to handle one.
I'd rather not find out how.
Okay, stay ignorant the rest of your life.
Oh, darling. Barry.
Oh, look down there. Uh-huh.
Barry, I had a talk with your mother this afternoon.
Oh, that was your special appointment, was it? About us?
About us.
Well, Mother told me she's against it. What'd she tell you?
The same thing. And the same thing that Mother and Jed told me, too. It's a mistake.
Penny, I promised I wouldn't try to influence you, but I can't let other people influence you away from me.
No one's influenced me, darling. I've made up my own mind. The decision is strictly mine.
You've come to a decision.
Yes, darling, I have.
What is it?
Oh, Barry. Darling, my whole heart says yes. I want to say yes more than anything else in the world.
Well, then why don't you? Why don't you? We'll be married.
Because it isn't right. It can't be right. There's nothing right about it. And the thing I want to do is right.
Then it's no, is it? Absolutely no?
Absolutely no.
All right. If it's no, it's no. I said I wouldn't argue or plead, and I'll keep my promise.
Thank you, darling. It hasn't been easy to say.
I know it hasn't. It hasn't been easy to hear it. Oh, look. What's coming down the river?
Is that the paddle wheeler from Wayne City?
Yep, that's the paddle wheeler from Wayne City. Funny, I used to enjoy watching it churn down the river. Somehow I don't enjoy watching it now. Penny.
Yes, Barry.
I said I wouldn't plead or argue, but I have to just a little. Is there any chance? Must you say no?
Yes, darling, I must say no, because I think it's right.
But I think you're wrong.
I'm positive I'm not. Barry, keep your promise. Please, darling, don't try and talk me out of what I know is right.
All right, I won't. But, darling, now what's left? Now what does life or living have in store for me? Nothing but emptiness, darkness, futility. Is that anything to live for? Is there any point in living?
I feel the same as you do, Barry, but I'm going on. And though I know there'll never be anything or anyone to take your place, I'm going to make the best of living and the most of life.
So Penny Gibbs has once again turned against the dictates of her heart, and with a final and seemingly irrevocable no, has done what she feels is right. And because of this, 2 lives are shrouded in the dark cloak of tragedy. Be sure to listen to the next dramatic episode of Hearts in Harmony. KCB. KCB. KCB means Kroger Cut Beef, and Kroger Cut Beef means more meat for your money. Yes, Kroger Cut Beef gives you more meat, less waste. That's because before the meat is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess bone, excess waste, and stringy ends. You get more meat, less waste in Kroger Cut Beef. It's top U.S. government grades of beef, tender, juicy, rich red, marbled with just the right amount of flavory fat. So visit your neighborhood Kroger store and buy your favorite cut of beef. If you can get a Kroger cut sirloin steak, you'll notice that before the steak is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes the stringy end, the waste, and the excess bone. Remember, whether you buy a steak or roast, Kroger cut beef gives you more meat for your money. But remember, ladies, you can buy a Kroger cut steak or roast only at Kroger stores. Make up your mind right now to visit your neighborhood Kroger store without delay. Your Kroger meat man has just the cut of beef you want. It's delicious and juicy. It's top-grade beef that will thrill your family. Make it a rule to buy Kroger cut beef and get more meat, less waste, which means you get more meat for your money at your Kroger store. Listen again tomorrow, same time, same station, for another exciting transcribed chapter of Hearts in Harmony.
Dragnet. Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. An organized gang of thieves is working in your city. Their method of operation is clever and fast. There's no lead to their identity. Your job? Stop them.
It was Tuesday, May 7th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Bernard. My name's Friday. We were on our way out from the office, and it was 9:46 a.m. when we got to the corner of Beverly Boulevard and Fountain Streets. The Brighton Arms Apartments.
12A, isn't it?
Yeah.
What is it?
Want to try it again?
Yeah.
Just a minute. Yeah?
Miss Anderson?
Yeah, that's right.
Police officers. This is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Oh, yeah, come on in.
Thank
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Sit down. I'll put some coffee on.
All right.
That's the only way to do it, Joe.
What?
Coffee grinder here.
Well, that's what it is, huh?
Yeah. You buy the coffee beans and you grind them up as you need the coffee, real fresh. I'm going to get Fay one of them. Great gadgets.
Yeah, guess so.
You never tasted coffee that fresh, Joe. Whole different flavor.
Well, if you say so.
Yeah. Wait till I get Fay one. You'll be asked over for the first pot of coffee.
That's nice.
You got a match?
Yes, ma'am. Here.
It's about the burglary, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. A couple of questions we'd like to ask.
Go ahead.
We've got the report you gave the officers last night. Now, this list of stolen property, I wonder if you look at it and see if it's right. Here you are.
Diamond watch. Yeah. The mink. Yeah, that's it. It's the mink that's important. Took me 3 years working to get that. Sure hope you bring it back.
Yes, ma'am. We'll try. Have you got any ideas as to what time the theft might have occurred?
Well, near as I can figure, it must have been around midnight.
Why do you say that?
Well, I got home from work about 11:30. I'm a hostess in a restaurant downtown.
Go on, please.
Got home. The coat was still here. I hardly ever come into the house without checking on it. You know, it's the only real thing of value I got.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, there it was, hanging in the closet. I went out to have a cup of coffee and pick up the papers before I went to bed. Whoever took it must have been waiting outside. He saw me leave and then came in.
Why do you say he? Well, you said he must have been waiting.
Oh, I didn't mean anything special. You know, just a word.
I see. Did you see anybody in the vicinity when you left the house?
No. Not that I can tell about now. The corner's a pretty busy place, Sergeant. Lots of people around there. A couple of restaurants. Always a lot of people around.
Wonder if we could see how they got in, please.
Yeah, right back here. Here, you see, they cut the screen on the porch door and then just reached in and opened it.
Top half of the door. You had it like this, did you?
Yeah, you see, you just flip these two little things and the glass part of the door comes out. Always take it out on warm nights.
Anything else in the apartment disturbed?
Not that I could tell. Seems that they just went into the bedroom and took the coat. That and the watch and the other stuff. But it's the coat that's important.
Yes, I understand.
A mink coat means something special to a girl. I told you it took me 3 years of saving before I could buy it. It's a long time to do without things, Sergeant. An awful long time.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we had the coat 3 days, and this happens. Just 3 days. Hardly even had a chance to wear it.
Is the coat insured?
I think so.
Ma'am?
Well, I just got it. I think it's insured. I have to check with the salesman. I told him I wanted the coat covered. Boy, I just hope it's in effect. Beautiful coat. Just beautiful. Silver blue. Cost me almost $4,000. Come right down to it, that's about $1,000 a day.
We have the serial number here for the watch. Now, is there any way you could identify the coat for us?
Certainly. All I have to do is look at it. I can tell.
Well, yes, ma'am. But is there any mark, any type of label that would help us in identifying?
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Well, there's the store label. You could tell by that.
Oh, that's probably one of the first things the thieves will take off.
Well, I suppose so. Well, there's my initials. They can't get those out.
Ma'am?
I got my initials on some of the pelts. Had it done when I got the coat. Had it marked right on the skins under the lining. My initials, J.A. You could be able to tell from that.
Could you draw the initials for us?
Yeah. Wait a minute. I'll get a piece of paper.
Right here, Miss Anderson. You can use this.
Oh, thanks.
This pencil.
Okay. Well, you see, it's sort of like this. J.A. Like that.
Would you draw the coat and show us where the initials are?
Sure. You see, here's the sleeve. Then the body part comes down like this.
Mm-hmm.
The hem's here, and the initials are right there.
Mm-hmm. All right, Miss Anderson. This is exactly how the initials are...
Oh, there goes the coffee. Can I give you a cup?
No, thanks, no.
No, thanks.
Well, excuse me a minute, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you really think you're going to get it back?
We're going to try.
Did the men who were here last night get any clues?
Beg your pardon?
The men who were here last night, did they find anything that'd help?
Not a great deal, no, ma'am.
Well, I sure hope they find my coat. I just hate to think about it.
What's that, ma'am?
All that time. 3 years working to save for a coat. Then just to have it 3 days. You know how the models in the magazines kind of drag a mink coat along the ground? You know, sort of over their shoulders?
Yes, ma'am, I guess so.
Well, I just had it 3 days, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't even learn how to do that.
Reports of similar burglaries had been coming into the office for the past 6 weeks. In each one, the method of operation was similar enough to let us know that we were dealing with the same thieves. All of the homes that were prowled were residences. The owners of the houses were always absent. Entrance to the places was made through a rear window. In those cases where the window was open, the screen was cut. Where the window was locked, the pane of glass was broken, and the entrance made that way. The classification of goods stolen was also the same in all of the burglaries. Pieces of jewelry, whatever money was found, and fur coats. The only room prowled was the one where the fur coats were kept. None of the valuables in the rest of the house would be touched. Bulletins had been gotten out to all of the pawn shops in the area on the stolen pieces, but there'd been no replies. The M.O. had been checked with the staff's office, and the possibles that they came up with were checked out. We failed to come up with a suspect. The investigation of the crime lab on the scene had produced no tangible evidence. Frank and I had gone over the burglary reports time and time again, trying to find something that would tie the thefts together. None of the victims were acquainted with each other. They all lived in different parts of the city. The coats were bought from different retailers, and yet within a week of the time the coat was purchased, it would be stolen. Friends of the victims were checked. In most instances, we found that they didn't even know the victim had been in possession of the article stolen. On the night of May 6th, another burglary was reported. Among the stolen articles were a mink stole and a full-length natural mink coat. The coat had been purchased only 3 days before the theft. The victim had worn it in public only twice. After going over the physical evidence at the scene and talking with the woman, we were no further than we had been. Saturday, May 11th, Frank and I checked into the office.
Another one that doesn't go anyplace.
Yeah, you want to get the reports out?
Yeah. You know, Joe, there's got to be something to tie them all together, something in common.
Well, if we come up with that, maybe we got the answer.
You see the bunch down at Chief Brown's office when we came in?
Yeah?
I recognize one of them.
Yeah, who?
Insurance man. They'll most likely be down here when we get through talking to Chief Brown.
What's it figure the thefts have cost him?
A little under $47,000.
Well, you stand that kind of loss, you'd do some yelling, too, wouldn't you?
Suppose. Funny now the stuff's turned up.
Well, it isn't doing them any good unless they sell it. I get it. Burglary Friday. Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. What's your name? What? Oh, where are you now? Mm-hmm. All right. No, we'll be right over. Right. Well, maybe we got one.
Yeah?
Woman says she wants to talk to us about a stolen fur coat. The woman gave the name of Wilda Chandler. She said that she had some information for us and asked us to meet her in a bar at the corner of St. Andrew's Place and Las Palmas Avenue. It took us 23 minutes to get there.
See her?
No, we better ask the bartender.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Is there a Miss Chandler here?
Chandler?
That's right. She just called. Said to meet her here.
Might be her in the back booth. Didn't give no name. Back booth.
Thank you.
Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If it's her or your friend, will you do me a favor?
What's that?
Try to get her out of here.
What do you mean?
Get her out of here. All she's been doing is sitting back there playing that song. Playing the song, ordering doubles. We ain't got a girl in here this time of the morning. I got to carry the orders back to her. Got a lot of other stuff to do.
All right, we'll see about it.
Well, if you can't get her out, at least talk her into sitting up here at the bar so I don't have to walk. Huh?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Miss Chandler?
Sit right down, boys. Been expecting you.
All right. This is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
You just bet you. Glad to meet both of you. Talked to you on the phone, didn't I?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, never forget a name. How about a drink for you two boys?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Should have a couple. Seems to make everything a lot better. I may have several more.
You said something about some information on some stolen fur coats, is that right?
Yeah, and I got it. Old Max, he's going to be sorry.
Old Max?
Hear that on the jukebox? Melancholy mood. Hear it?
Yes, ma'am.
Our song.
Is that right?
You just betcha. Old Max, our song. Partner that goes... Gone is every joy and inspiration. Tears are all I have to show. No consolation. So old Max left me. Tears in his fur coat.
Uh-huh. Who's Max?
You fellas sure you don't want a drink?
No, ma'am.
No, Max. Just the tears in the coat. See? This is it. What do you think of it?
It's very pretty.
Well, that's a lie. It's a lousy coat, and you know it.
You want to tell us about the stolen coats, please?
Here, I've been working for Max almost 2 months, and I just found out. Guess you think that's pretty dumb, huh?
Well, maybe if you tell us about it.
2 months. Matter of fact, I just got the message last night, Friday, May 10th, 1:22 a.m., if you want to be exact. That's when I got the message about old Max.
Now, look, miss, you called us and said that you had some information on some coats. Now, I wonder if you'd be kind enough to tell us about it.
You just betcha. Would you put this in the jukebox for me? Play number B7. Huh?
Yes, sir. B7, huh?
Yeah, melancholy mood. Old Max and my song. You know what? These are no good. A real no good.
This Max, has he got something to do with the burglaries?
You just betcha. Old slick Max, he's a pistol.
Yeah.
Say, how about a drink?
No, thank you.
I didn't mean for you, for me.
Suppose you tell us about Max and the furs, would you, please?
If that's the way you want it. Max is a thief.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you know him?
I don't know.
A thief. Worked for him 2 months, even thinking about marrying him. All the time he's a thief.
What's Max's last name?
Barrett. Thanks for playing the song. It's real nice.
That's B7.
What about this Max?
Told me how I was going to wear mink, and this is what I end up with.
Now, look, Miss Chandler, if you have some information for us, we want to hear it, but we haven't got time to sit here and keep you company.
You think it's all a gag, huh? You just think I'm lonely, so I called you. That's what you think, isn't it?
Why don't you tell us?
Well, it isn't a gag. I can tell you all about the coats, all about them.
Yes, ma'am. That's why we're here. Would you go ahead?
Well, I'm a hat checker on a restaurant out in the country. It's a good racket. Got the job about 3 months ago. Doing real well at it. Then I meet this Max 2 months ago. Old Max walks in.
Yes, ma'am.
Gives me the big pitch. How he thinks I'm so pretty, all that kind of stuff, you know?
Go ahead.
Well, he really piles it on. How he's got a big deal cooking, and as soon as it comes through, him and me's going to get married. Tells me that while he's waiting for the deal to gel, he's selling insurance. Old Max selling insurance. Pretty funny, huh? Well, he tells me that the hardest thing about selling insurance is the contacts. You know, getting to meet the people who need it. Contacts.
Yeah.
And that's where I come in. You see, old Max, he doesn't sell insurance on people, not like on their lives. He doesn't sell that kind.
Mm-hmm.
He sells what they call personal property insurance on things like rings and coats, stuff like that. You with me?
Yes, ma'am, so far. Go ahead.
Well, he tells me that if I'll help him with his contacts, he'll cut me on his percentage. Says all I have to do is tell him when some woman comes in with a new coat. Her name and address, and he'll go see her and make the sale. It's to me simple. All I got to do is get the names and addresses.
Did you do it?
Sure. How dumb can you get? I gave him the names and addresses. I knew there was anything wrong.
Can you tell us what names you gave him?
I got every one of them. Got them at home. You can have them.
When did you find out he wasn't an insurance salesman?
Last night, 1:22 a.m. I wasn't feeling so good, so I took off from work. Went by his place. Old Max was just coming in. Got the car parked out by his garage. The backseat is loaded with fur coats, all kind of other stuff. Watches, jewelry. That's when I knew he was a no-good. Old Max, a pistol, a real no-good.
Yes, ma'am. What happened?
Well, I asked him about the stuff, where he got it.
Yeah?
He told me all about it. How he'd been stealing. How all the names I'd been giving him were his sucker list. How as soon as I'd given the information, he'd lift the stuff. All that time. 2 months, and I figured he was an insurance salesman.
You know what he's doing with the coats?
What?
Was he selling them?
Sure. It's got a regular order business. You call up and order a blue mink coat. If you want a platinum stole, just call Max. You'll have it.
Is he disposing of it here in L.A.?
Not old Max. He's too smart for that. Ships the stuff east.
Is that right?
Didn't I just tell you it was? You just betcha. Max gets an order, and he goes out and he fills it. Then he gets a hold of some young kid and offers him a trip to the east. Maybe Chicago, Detroit, New York, wherever the delivery's supposed to be made. Gives the kid a plane ticket and sends him on the way.
The carrier know what he's doing?
Oh, no. Max just gives him a suitcase and tells him where to deliver it.
How'd you find out about the operation setup?
Old Max, he told me. Said that since I found out, he'd have to cut me in. Give me all the scoop.
Barrett ever been arrested?
I don't know, maybe.
You any close friends in town, do you know?
I guess. Never saw none of them myself.
You want to show us where he lives?
Sure. I want to see him get his. After the way he lied. Ain't nothing too bad for him. Oh, Max, a pistol.
He sell all the stolen goods?
What do you mean?
Well, do you know where the stolen coats are and the rest of the things?
Must be in his apartment. Can't think of any other place it'd be. Gotta be there.
Do you know if he's there now?
He should be. He don't ever get up before noon. Should be there. I just want to see you get him. Lousiest trick in the world what he did to me.
Yeah, what's that?
Oh, that time him stealing those coats. Oh, that beautiful mink. Look at this.
Yes, ma'am. That's a very pretty coat.
I thought so, too. Take a close look. Old Max gave it to me to show he was on the level. Take a good look.
Yeah?
All that mink, and he gives me rabbit.
Before we left the bar, we put in a call to R&I asking if Max Barrett had a police record. The office told us that there was none in our files. We asked that a teletype be sent to George Brereton at the CII office up in Sacramento. We also had the name Wilda Chandler checked. She had no record in Los Angeles. 11:20 a.m. We got Barrett's address from the Chandler woman, and then we called a radio car. The officers took her to the city hall where she could make a full statement. Frank and I drove over to Barrett's apartment. Wilda Chandler had told us that the suspect drove a late-model Pontiac sedan. We found the car parked in the garage in the rear of Barrett's address. A preliminary search of the garage and of the car failed to turn up any evidence of the thefts. 11:46 a.m. Frank and I went up to see Barrett.
I'll get it.
Probably still asleep.
Mm-hmm. Who is it?
Like to see you.
Just a minute. Yeah?
You Max Barrett?
Yeah, who are you guys? What do you want?
Police officers. We'd like to talk to you.
Get out. Hold it, mister.
All right, now come on your feet, Barrett.
What's this all about, anyway? What are you guys doing breaking in here like this?
You want to check the closets, Frank?
Right. You got no right to come in here and do this. What are you looking for? I got nothing to hide.
You didn't act that way when we came in, did you?
How'd I know you were real cops? You read all the time in the papers how guys say they're cops and then break in and rob people. That's what I thought you were. Only cops.
We showed you our identification, didn't we?
Well, how'd I know it was real? I've never been mixed up with the law before. How'd I know you were really cops?
How about it?
Place is clean. Sure, it's clean. What'd you expect to
All right,
find?
come on, get dressed. We're taking you downtown.
For what?
We want to talk to you.
Any talking you got to do it here. I'm not going any place with you.
You just keep believing that, mister, and I get your clothes on. Come
What
on.
are you arresting me for?
Suspicion of burglary.
Are you serious?
Get dressed.
Okay, you take me in, book me. But you're going to be in real trouble, cop, because there's one big problem.
Yeah?
You can't prove it.
12:10 p.m. We called the office and arranged for a stakeout on Barrett's apartment in the event any of his associates contacted him. We asked his landlady about his friends. She told us that as far as she knew, the suspect was an insurance salesman. She said that he told her that because of his type of business, it would be necessary for him to keep late hours and that he didn't want to be disturbed during the day. We searched his apartment and his garage, but we were unable to turn up any of the stolen merchandise. We took him down to the city hall and got off all station radiograms with special attention to the police departments in Chicago, Detroit, and New York, giving them descriptions of the suspect and of the stolen property. We asked that their pawn shop details check the outlets in their cities. 3:15 p.m. We had Barrett brought to the city hall, and we talked to him in the squad room.
Okay, you made the boo-boo. Now, how are you going to get out of it?
What do you mean?
Well, you had the chance to check my record. You know I'm clean. How are you going to get out of having me sue you?
You got a job?
Yeah.
Where do you work?
I'm an insurance salesman.
What's the name of your company?
What do you want that for?
We want to talk to him.
I don't want you calling them. They find out I'm down here. Before I get a chance to tell them about it, I'll lose my job.
You kind of got this thing a little mixed up, haven't you?
What do you mean?
You've been trying to sell us how innocent you are all morning. Yet every time we ask a question, you give us a smart answer. Now, if you haven't got anything to hide, why don't you come off it and tell us the truth for a change?
I'm doing that.
When?
What company you work for? I'm not going to tell you. This rate book we found in your car. This the one? Great Southwestern Life, that it? Why don't you call them and find out? We did. They say they never heard of you. Then it isn't them, is it?
What are you doing with the rate book?
That illegal, too?
Where'd you get it?
Friend of mine. I like to check the prices of other companies, keep abreast of things.
What's the friend's name?
You know I'm not going to give you that. Hey, who put you on to me anyway?
You said it yourself. We're not going to tell you.
But it was that Wilda broad.
Who?
Who's playing cozy now? Wilda Chandler. She's the one who told you to pick me up, isn't she?
She have a reason to do that?
She might think so.
Why don't you tell us about it?
I tried to help her out, give her the chance to earn some extra money. Told her I'd give her $5 for every prospect she turned over to me who bought some insurance, and it worked good for a while. And she started boozing it up. Got to be a real lush. Couldn't trust her anymore. She was giving me a list of bad names, making them up. I had to get rid of her.
Yeah?
Gave her a coat and called it quits.
How about these names she gave you? You got a copy of them?
No. Turned out they weren't any good, so I threw them away.
Frank?
Yeah.
You get that list?
Yeah, here you go.
Listen to these. See if they sound like the people Wilda told you about. Pauline Bunnell, Myrtle Briggs, Mrs. Mildred Carlson, Miss Jane Anderson, Alice Beckworth. How about it? You recognize any of them?
She's the one, isn't she? Oh, Lousy lush. She's the one who told you, isn't she?
Recognize the names?
Yeah.
Every one of those people have had a burglary in their house in the last month. There's a lot more names. Why don't you cop out and tell us the truth?
I got nothing to say until I see a lawyer. Joe, see you a minute.
Yeah, Olson, right away. What you got?
Kid says his name's Jim Nelson. Picked him up out at Barrett's place.
Anything on him?
Suitcase. Here it is. A couple of fur coats inside of him.
What about Nelson?
Checked him. Got a record listing 2 burglary arrests, 1 conviction.
Where's he now?
Got him over in an interrogation room.
Who's with him?
Rubles.
Any trouble?
No. Walked in and we took him. Says he wants to see Barrett. Thought maybe you'd want to talk to him first.
Yeah, I do. Be right back, Frank.
Okay. Let's go.
Anything on the coats?
Haven't had a chance to check him yet. Brought the Nelson kid right in.
Anybody out at Barrett's now?
Yeah, we called the team before we left.
Okay, thanks.
I'll call you. Right.
Hi, Rubles. Thanks.
All right. Olson, I'll be down the hall if you need anything, Joe.
Right, thank you. Your name Nelson, is that right?
Yeah.
Where'd you get the suitcase?
Barrett gave it to me.
When?
A couple of days ago. I was supposed to take it to Detroit.
What happened?
I didn't make it. Got to thinking about how he was willing to pay my expenses back there just to take the suitcase. Got to wondering what was so important. Opened the suitcase, and when I saw what was in it, I didn't want any part of it. Tried to give it back to him. The cops picked me up.
Uh-huh. You know where he got the coats?
No, I don't want to. Anytime a guy's willing to pay expenses back east just to deliver a suitcase, there's something phony about it. I want no part of the action. You know I got a record. I only stood 1 conviction. I'm trying to keep clean. You got Barrett here now?
That's right.
You going to hold him?
Yeah.
I'd like to see him for a minute.
Why?
I'd like to tell him what I thought about the deal he tried to pull. Telling me how he was my friend. All the time getting me to carry the stuff for him. Can you fix it up so I can see him?
Yeah. Come on.
You going to be able to nail him?
We will now.
You imagine a guy would pull a stunt like that on his friends? A guy would do that to about anything.
Yeah. You willing to testify about how Barrett gave you the suitcase?
I sure am. I want to see him nailed good.
Barrett?
Yeah?
Turn around here. This friend of yours wants to see you.
What are you doing here? Thought I'd be in Detroit by now, didn't you, Max?
Just keep your mouth shut. They got nothing on us.
Watch him while I get the suitcase for you.
Yeah.
How about it? You ever see this bag before, Barrett?
He should. He gave it to me.
Beautiful coat here. Let's take a look at the lining, shall we?
I don't know anything about those. The guy sold them to me. I don't know where they came from.
How about it? It's right there, initials J.A. You want to tell us now, Barrett? Barrett?
Lousy kid. I should have known better than that.
You!
Come on, let him go. Let him go. Bust his nuts.
Sit down, both of you. Sit down, Barrett.
Oh, kid. Going good until he stuck his nose into it. All going good. How lousy can a deal get?
Well, I wouldn't worry about it.
What?
You're going to find out.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On September 18th, trial was held in Department 97, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. Max Rudolph Barrett was tried and convicted of burglary in the first degree, 4 counts, and received sentence as prescribed by law. Burglary in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 5 years. His associates in the burglary ring were tried and convicted of receiving stolen property, which is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not more than 10 years. Because of the cooperation she gave authorities in apprehending the suspects, Wilda Noreen Chandler was released from custody.
Dragnet is a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.
tonight to ancient Egypt.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations presents Escape, a new series of programs of which this, the sixth, is The Ring of Thoth by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, produced and directed by William N. Robeson. Wherever the English language is spoken, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is known for two things: his immortal character, Sherlock Holmes, and his unshakable belief in life beyond the grave. So great is the stature of Sherlock Holmes that Conan Doyle's earlier stories are all but forgotten. Stories like The Ring of Thoth, which so clearly anticipates the author's later fascination with spiritualism. We invite you now to escape to ancient Egypt and The Ring of Thoth, an adventure told in the words of John Vansittart Smith, British Egyptologist.
I arrived in Paris on the 3:14 express from Dieppe and went immediately to my hotel in the Rue de Lafitte. My actions so far had worked out according to my planned schedule. I slept for exactly 2 hours, got up and dressed, donned a greatcoat, walked down the Avenue de l'Opéra, and entered the side door of the Louvre. Once inside, and amid surroundings entirely familiar to me, I made my way immediately to the Chamber of Egyptian Relics, or more specifically, to the cabinet in that chamber which contained the El Kab collection of papyri. Drawing out the particular roll I wished, I placed it on a nearby table, sat down, began to study it, when I noticed one of the museum attendants who was polishing some brasswork across the room. His face struck me as being curiously Egyptian. On sudden impulse, I decided to cross the room and speak to him. Approaching closer, I was impressed at once by the appearance of his skin. Drawn tautly across temple and cheek, it seemed as glazed and as shiny as varnished parchment, and out of narrowed slits there glowed two green and vitreous eyes, misty with a dry shininess, eyes of a kind never seen in a human head before. I beg your pardon. I need one of the papyri from the Memphis collection. Could you tell me where it is?
You'll find it in the last cabinet at the end of the room, monsieur.
Thank you. You're Egyptian, aren't you?
No, monsieur. I am a Frenchman.
But, I thought perhaps...
If monsieur will excuse me now, I have other work to do.
I went back to the table and took up the papyrus I had been studying before. But my former calmness in translating the intricate hieroglyphics was gone, and out of the depths of my mind welled a feeling of terrible familiarity. I concentrated more deeply on my studies, pushing aside those thoughts conducive to mental turmoil, and at last, worn out by the inward struggle, I fell asleep. I awoke with a start, not remembering where I was. It was quite dark for a moment. Then gradually my eyes focused on the glints of moonlight reflected from the glass tops of specimen tables, from the shiny varnish of the mummy cases. And I realized with a feeling of sudden dread that I was alone in the Egyptian room of the Museum of the Louvre, locked in for the night. And I saw at that moment, approaching through the moonlit halls, a dim yellow flame. Nearer and nearer it came until I could perceive above it, as though floating in the air, the eerie, glistening face of the man I'd spoken to earlier. I shrank into the dark shadow of my corner, and he passed without seeing me, stopping before the mummy cases a few yards away. Scarcely daring to breathe, I watched him place the light on a table and begin feverishly to examine the tags on the specimens. In a moment, he gave a cry of delight, and, drawing one of the mummies from its resting place, laid it on the table in the full glow of the lantern and set to work. He was unwinding the wrappings from the head of the corpse. A few turns revealed a tumbled cascade of black curls. A few more, the snow-white brow, then the delicate nostrils, and at last, the full, warm, passionate lips, the face of the most beautiful woman the world has ever seen.
Ma pauvre petite, so long it has been, so very long. You must forgive me, beloved.
I could hardly believe my eyes. The man was obviously in love with this mummy. After a while, he left the body, turning his attention to one of the glass cases filled with an assortment of rings. From the pocket of his garment, he'd taken a small glass bottle containing some kind of liquid, and he used this now to test the rings, rejecting them one after another. Then, at last...
This is it. It's the one. At last I found it. The ring of Thoth.
In his excitement, he dropped the bottle, and I gasped in surprise at the sudden sound.
Who's there?
I beg your pardon.
Oh. So it is you. No, do not move.
I didn't mean to spy on you. I fell asleep.
Who are you, monsieur?
I am John Van Fittot Smith, a student of Egyptology.
No matter. You will observe this knife.
Yes?
Had I discovered you 5 minutes ago, monsieur, I should have slain you without a word.
What?
As it is now, I have found the ring. But I warn you not to interfere with me in any way.
I really haven't the slightest intention of it. After all, I'm only here by accident.
Perhaps.
I say, you shouldn't have unwrapped that mummy, you know. It's starting to deteriorate already.
Oh, my beloved.
Yes, before our eyes, the lovely face was crumbling, the hair falling away, the skin shriveling and cracking, the lips fading. The man hovered over the decaying body a moment, murmuring sorrowfully. And then he turned again.
No matter. That will not make the least difference in a little while. Of what importance is the dead shell, so long as her spirit waits for me at the other side of the veil?
What are you talking about? What is it you're proposing to do?
Tonight, monsieur, I have ended a quest and broken at last the ancient curse. Nothing now can prevent my joining her.
Are you actually claiming that you knew her?
She was Atma, daughter of the governor of Abaris. And both she and I lived in the reign of Tutmosis 3,500 years ago.
You're obviously mad.
Perhaps, but not in the way you think. There may be design in this, your coming here. It may be decreed that I should leave some account behind as a warning to other mortals as rash as myself. Very well, then. So be it. I am, as you surmised, an Egyptian. My name was Sasra, and my father had been the chief priest of Osiris in the great temple of Abaris, which stood in those days upon the Bubastic branch of the Nile. I was brought up in the temple and was trained in all those mystic arts and sciences known to the priesthood. Of all the mysteries that I studied, none intrigued me more than the question of life and death. And even to this question, in time, I found an answer.
But for a man to live beyond his allotted span of years, Master Sastra, the gods have not so ordained it.
Then perhaps they will have to revise their ordinances, now that I've discovered their secret.
'Tis not well to jest. I tremble, for though I've labored in your service for a year, I knew not the goal of your endeavors. May Osiris forgive me.
Ah, what a pity you look upon it this way. For I'd thought that in return for your assistance, I should grant you, too, the gift of centuries of indestructible life.
I would not have it, Master Sastra. And I beg that you, too, forgo it.
Forgo it? I introduced the fluid into my veins 1 month ago.
Oh, no. Then you are lost indeed.
Lost? Do you call this being lost? Let's see now. My heart should be about here.
Oh, that math. No, don't. Master, you've killed yourself.
Not at all. See? It bleeds a little. But in a while, the wound will close up. And that's all.
It's immortality.
No. I shall not live forever. But for 5,000, perhaps 6,000 years, I shall be immune from all dangers of violence, poison, disease, starvation.
You cannot die?
Now, with this fluid in my veins, nothing in this world can end my life.
Doctor, are you there?
Someone called.
It's Parmes, the priest of Thoth. In here, my friend. Enter.
Oh. Greetings, Sosra, master of sciences, and his worthy assistant.
If you will excuse me, masters, I go to make my peace with Osiris.
What's wrong with your helper, Sosra?
The thought of a well-nigh eternal life has frightened him into gibbering superstition.
Then you still believe in the discovery?
Believe in it? Parmes, my friend. Look.
By the heavens, what a scar.
It pierces the heart. It was done only a moment ago with this knife. See? I can put it back in the wound. So.
You suffered no ill effects?
None whatever.
And if I turn the knife in the wound, that would do you no harm?
You may try it. I feel nothing. I walked last week in the snake pits by the river, was struck innumerable times. It caused no harm.
By the great Anubis.
Will you have it then? Out of all Egypt, I have chosen only you, my friend, to share the gift. But the choice is yours.
I'd be a fool to refuse, Sosra. I'll have it. And now, what must I do?
First, we must open a vein in your wrist, like this. Then, we drip the elixir slowly into your bloodstream. Steady now.
I don't feel anything.
There is no sensation. It is done.
So simple? There is nothing more?
That's all. And now done, it can never be changed.
It seems incredible, supernatural.
It's no more than a chemical discovery, but with it, while all this about us passes away, you and I, Parmes, will live on for 50 centuries. Think of it, my friend. 5,000 years of life.
5,000 years. Only the two of us.
Listen, that noise. Some procession must be passing in the street.
I have an idea what it may be. Come on over to the window.
Beloved of heaven, clear the road, stand back, and make way for the loveliest pearl of deep.
She's being carried on the shoulders of slaves, Parmes. She must be some woman of rank.
Her name is Atma. She's the daughter of the new governor.
The curtains are drawn back. Perhaps we'll have a look at her. Oh, Parmes.
Is she not beautiful?
She is the most desirable, the only utterly desirable woman I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, I saw her yesterday at the temple.
Then you're most fortunate, my friend. You've had 24 more hours to dream about her than I've had. I must know her, Parmes. I must make her love me. I'll send gifts. I'll call on her tomorrow. Oh, it has to be done. I couldn't wait any longer than tomorrow.
A visitor calls upon the beloved of the universe. He is Sosra, priest of the temple of Osiris.
Well, bid him approach.
Enter, Sosra.
Oh, most beautiful of all Egypt, I cast myself at your feet.
That's a noble ambition. But wouldn't it be much better to sit here beside me and watch the fish in the fountain?
Much better.
You will all withdraw, except you, my girl. Play something for us, at a distance. Well, Sosra, for so I understand you're called, am I to deem this an official visit by a master of the temple?
Atma, my beloved. That is, no. It is not official.
Oh? Perhaps then you wish to see my father on personal business of your own.
Oh, no. No. I shall pay my respects to him at some other time.
Then could it be I you've come to see?
Yes.
And since you've said the visit's not official, your reason must be a personal one.
Oh, it is.
Well, what is it?
Atma, I have known women who are famed for their beauty throughout the valley of the Nile. But not one, not all of them, are so lovely as you.
How thoughtful of you to come here and tell me.
Atma, I've no wish to intrude my desires, my hopes, beyond such extent as you may wish to hear. But, I'm finding this very difficult.
Sasha, I've been told that you're a master of science, that you've unlocked the secrets of the universe, learned all the mysteries of nature itself.
Your informants have been most generous.
Yes, I'm inclined to think so.
What?
Because you've discovered nothing at all about such a simple thing as a woman's heart.
What do you mean?
I come from Thebes. And the women of Thebes are warm-blooded, passionate, and we know what we want.
Atma.
I saw you first 3 days ago. Why do you think I told my bearers to carry me down that street beneath your window?
And so, miracle of all miracles, Atma loved me. Worshipping the very ground her feet had trod upon, I lived through those glorious weeks, and with it all, our love grew apace. But one thing bore heavily upon my mind, and I came to speak of it more often to my beloved as we sat and talked by the fountain in her garden.
Look, Sasha. See how the stars shine from the water?
Yes, Atma. More lovely even than their glow in the heavens.
Are they very old, the stars?
Very old, beloved. As old as time.
And they'll go on gleaming there, long years after you and I are gone and forgotten.
Atma, my dearest, we've talked of this before, and I know it distresses you to think of it.
No, Sasra. Tonight everything is beautiful. We shall not talk of death.
Not of death, but of life. They're only counterparts of one another.
Oh, if we could only live together. Grow old together and die in the same instant.
But how much better to live and love 5,000 years. Will you not do it? Does so long a time seem too great for the love you feel for me?
Beloved, no. The time would pass in an instant, and the loss then be no easier born than now.
Then why draw back? Will you not take the elixir now, tonight?
I'm afraid, Sasra. We'll anger the gods.
We will outlive the gods.
They will have their revenge.
Whatever occurred, we'd be together.
Yes, I've thought of that. Were it not so, I'd not even consider doing it.
Then you'll do it. Atma, you'll do it.
I need more time, only a little more to assure myself.
How much?
Tonight, Sasra. Give me tonight.
Every hour you live without the elixir is another hazard. All right, then. Tonight. And may Isis herself guard over you until the fluid courses in your veins. And so, on that accursed night, I went to my chambers and slept. And while I slept, the moon of Isis shone over the delta of the Nile. Shone but to light as foul a scene as was ever done on earth. Some hours had passed away.
Master Sasha, awaken! Master, awaken at once.
You know, who is it?
Oh, what a terrible thing has transpired this night.
You're one of Atma's slaves. Why do you come here?
Oh, Master.
What has happened? What's the matter? Speak.
It is she, the light of the world.
Tell me what has happened to her.
Master. Brigands came in the night. She
She is dead.
You lie. You lie.
Oh, Sasra, the slave speaks the truth.
Parmes, my friend, what foul joke's behind these words of his?
It's not a joke. Atma is dead. You, slave, depart from us.
Yes, masters. By your gracious leave, I depart.
Such a thing cannot be. Oh, of course. The two of you planned it together, sought to frighten me out of my wits. It's very amusing, really. But I was terrified for a moment.
Atma no longer lives. She was stabbed to death only a short while ago.
No. Oh, no. She can't be dead.
She is dead, Sosra, and for all eternity.
I must go to her. Surely something can be done.
I killed her.
What is it? What has happened?
I killed her.
Oh.
I struck her through the heart with this very knife.
You, Parmes. Why?
Because she loved you.
Why?
And because I loved her.
You, my friend.
She would not look at me.
And for that you would lose her to both of us forever?
To both of us, Sosra? I think not.
By the living Osiris, give me that knife.
That's it. Strike. Again. Here's the heart. Here, strike. Again and again, Sosra.
Wait. What foolishness. I cannot kill you.
You're wrong, Sosra. You have killed me. Those were grievous blows.
But the fluid, that cursed elixir of life, it runs in your veins as well as mine.
True. But in mine is also the antidote.
You lie. There is no antidote.
Yes, day and night. These many weeks I've worked. And I found it.
You couldn't have. Is there more of it?
Yes, a very little. But you'll never find it.
Where is it? Tell me where it is.
In the ring, Sasha. In the ring of Thoth. And you'll never find it.
I will. I must.
Go on. Live your 50 centuries. And every hour of them, think. It was your hand that struck me down. With the same knife that took her from you. Think while I go to join her.
Oh, no. You're not dead. You're not. No. 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 For months, I searched the papers, test tubes, and the chemical flasks in the chambers of the dead priest of Thoth. Searched and found nothing. I sifted the sands where he'd walked, questioned his slaves and servants, and learned nothing. Every moment of my life, my terrible and unwanted life, was devoted to an unceasing hunt for the ring of Thoth, and all to no avail. And in time, a horde of barbarians overran the city of Abaris. And the sands of the desert buried forever the last of my hopes. And so began the deadly march of the centuries. How can you know how terrible a thing time is? You, who've experienced only the narrow course between the cradle and the grave. I've floated down the whole stream of history. I have traveled in all lands, and I have dwelt with all nations. Every tongue is the same to me. I need not tell you how slowly the centuries drifted by. Centuries without end. Years without number. And so, I came to be one day, a few weeks past, in San Francisco, where I came across a certain item in a newspaper.
Among recent discoveries in Lower Egypt is an unopened mummy case containing, according to the inscription on the outside, the body of the daughter of the governor of Abaris in the days of Tutmosis. In the same burial crypt, dropped into a crevice between the stones, was found a large platinum ring of singular design. Both specimens have been sent for examination to the Louvre in Paris.
So, I presume you came here to Paris, obtained this position of attendant in the Louvre with the idea of...
Only yesterday, Monsieur Smith. As you may imagine, I had little difficulty in convincing the director of my knowledge of Egyptian relics.
The ring, then. The one I saw you remove from the case is the ring of Thoth?
Without question.
You've discovered how the ring must be used?
The secret is obvious. See, the stone is hollow, and drops of liquid move within it.
Have you considered the possibility that this antidote may not perform the function which has been claimed for it?
It will, monsieur. And there'll be no need of a knife to strike me down. My death was due in a time long past, and only this damnable fluid that runs through my veins supports the weight of my years. I delay no longer. I go to join her where she waits for me in death.
No, don't. Oh.
Too late. I've broken the gem. I've taken the antidote.
I stood and watched him with a terrible fascination, but without pity and without compassion. He turned away from me and reeled toward the mummy he'd left on the table across the room. But even as he turned, the parchment skin of his face cracked and shredded. Discolored lips shriveled away from the yellow teeth. The vitreous eyes withered into nubs of formless plasm, and the full weight of his 3,500 years descended on him in an instant. I left that room of death and walked over the marble floors toward the exit, my footsteps echoing through the empty halls, even as they had echoed for so long in the corridors of time. And I wondered as I walked if Sasra knew now what I knew, that the antidote in the ring of Thoth can bring death to the body, but not to the soul. And I wondered in what cloak of flesh his spirit now dwelt, just as I, Hermes, priest of Thoth, had for the last 40 years of my 3,500 dwelt in the body of John Vansittart Smith.
Doctor, he's so little and so red.
Well, now, he's only 2 days old.
But he doesn't look a bit like either his father or me.
Give him time, my dear. All babies look pretty much alike when they're first born.
I don't know. His eyes, it's silly, of course, but he looks like an Egyptian.
Produced and directed by William N. Robeson, The Ring of Thoth by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield, with Jack Webb as Sorcerer, Thomas Freebairn Smith as Vansittart Smith, and Joan Banks as Atma. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Fewer. Escape is presented by the Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations each week at this time. Next week, we invite you to escape to a raft in the South Pacific with John Russell in his unforgettable story of human frailty, The Fourth Man. And so good night until next week at this time, when again it will be time to escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett & Myers, first major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. You get a call from an informant telling you that 3 known gangsters have moved into your city. You don't know who they are or why they're in Los Angeles. Your job, check them out. To sell a product, you have to make it good and keep it good. What do the latest reports show about Chesterfield? Well, our research laboratory has compared it with the leading cigarettes in the country. Chesterfield is highest in quality, low in nicotine. Another good reason why thousands of people are changing to Chesterfield every day. Smoke America's most popular two-way cigarette. Regular or king size, you'll find Chesterfield really mild, really satisfying. Best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, August 4th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Chief of Detectives Thad Brown. My name's Friday. We were on our way out from the office, and it was 9:42 a.m. when we got to the Osborne Turkish Bath. Steam room.
Hot, isn't it?
Yeah. Must be Dell back there.
Yeah.
Dell?
Yeah, who is it?
It's Friday and Smith.
Oh, I'll be right with you.
Okay.
Hey, Joe, did you ever have one of these?
Well, what?
Turkish baths. You ever had one?
No, I never have.
I understand they're great for colds. You just sit there and it burns the germs right out. It's great.
You ever have one?
No, but Armin, my brother-in-law, he takes them all the time. Tells me about how it does for colds. Next time he has one, I think I'll go with him.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Hi. Sorry to keep you waiting. We've been having trouble with the boiler. Got to keep a close check on the steam pressure in here.
That's okay.
Let's get out of here, huh?
Well, it won't make me unhappy. It sure is hot, Dell.
Go on upstairs. We can talk there.
Okay. What do you got for us, Dell?
Might not go anyplace, but I thought I ought to fill you guys in on it.
Mm-hmm.
Fellow rolled in here last night. Must have been about 10:30. Nightman's out with a cold, so I had to fill in.
A cold?
Yeah, some kind of virus or something.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, we can talk in the office. Sit down there. Mind if I go over some of these bills while we talk?
No, go ahead.
Well, this bimbo pulls in here last night, really carrying a load. I registered him and had Jimmy take him upstairs. Guy's kind of loud, rolling all over the place. I wanted to get him upstairs to a room, figuring he'd sack out and we wouldn't hear no more from him.
No.
Well, he had a different idea. A couple minutes later, he comes downstairs, wants to know what's going on.
What do you mean?
Wants to know where the steam room is. Says he's not going to sit in a little room all night. He paid for a steam bath. That's what he wants.
Yeah.
When he starts to talk about his high-powered friends and this deal they're out to pull, I kind of figure there's something wrong.
He tell you who the friends were?
No, not right now. Just mentioned a guy named Bud. Kept talking how Bud was going to be sore at him because he got drunk. Must have said it 100 times, how Bud was going to be real sore. Sounded to me like this Bud is the big man in the deal.
I see. No idea what the deal is, though, huh?
No, most he said was that when they left town, they were all going to have a lot of money. More money than I'd ever seen.
You got the name on this guy?
Oh, here's the register here. Let's see. Hey, you can see right here. Vernon Carmichael, Los Angeles.
Didn't give an address, huh?
Once he mentioned he had to meet Bud at a hotel down on South Flower. Didn't say which one, though.
Well, Flower's a long street, Dell. That doesn't help much.
Didn't give you any ideas at all of what the deal was going to be, huh?
No, must be a good one, though.
Why'd you say that?
Well, when I took him up to his room last night, I could see his clothes hanging on a chair.
Yeah.
On top of his coat, he had a shoulder holster. Looked like a .45 automatic in it. The way I look at it, a guy that's carrying that kind of muscle is figuring on scoring heavy.
Did you make any phone calls while he was here?
No.
Anybody had the room since he left?
No, I told the cleanup man to leave it alone. Figure you'd want to go over it.
It's a good idea. What time did he leave this morning?
Jimmy says it was about 7:30. I figured sure he'd sleep most of the morning. If I'd have known he was going to leave that early, I'd have called you last night.
Mm-hmm. Well, we better take a look at that room, Del. Might be able to come up with something that'll tell us who he is.
I got something else for you.
Yeah, what's that?
I mentioned this Carmichael to Jimmy last night. Told him that I thought there was something wrong.
Yeah?
The reason the guy left so early is that he got a call from somebody. Guess it's the guy that picked him up.
Did this Jimmy see who it was?
No, did the next best thing, though.
Yeah, what's that?
Got the license number of the car.
10:15 a.m. We got in touch with Leighton Prince, and Harlan Stahl sent a crew out to go over the room. Frank put in a call to the record bureau, and he had the name Vernon Carmichael checked. There was no record on anyone answering the description that we'd gotten from the manager of the Turkish Baths. In addition, a radiogram was sent to the Department of Motor Vehicles in Pennsylvania, asking for all available information on the owner of the car bearing the license number that we'd been given. 11:30 a.m. Harlan Stahl's crew finished checking the room, and they told us that they'd been able to lift a complete set of clean fingerprints from a water glass. They were photographed and classified. In checking our files, there was no record of the prints. They were forwarded to George Brereton up at Sacramento to CII and to the FBI in Washington, D.C. 2 days passed. On Friday, August 6th, we got the word from DMV in Pennsylvania that the car was registered to a Howard Nielsen. The radiogram also gave us a description of the car and the registered owner's address in Pittsburgh. On receipt of this information, we got in touch with the police department in Pittsburgh and found that Howard Bud Nielsen had a misdemeanor record. Late Friday afternoon, the kickback from Washington, D.C. arrived with the information that the fingerprints found in the room at the Turkish Bath were those of Vernon Carmichael. His record listed arrests for petty theft and robbery in Pennsylvania. He'd been brought to trial, but he'd been acquitted. Both men were well known to the police department in Pittsburgh as hoodlums. On Saturday morning, the mugshots of both Nielsen and Carmichael arrived. 10:15 a.m. We met with Lieutenant Jack Smyers, and we decided that the information, coupled with the records of the two men, made the incident worth investigation. The mugshots of the pair were copied, and a canvass of the hotels on South Flower Street was started in an attempt to find the residence of the suspects. The search went on for another 2 days without results. Monday, August 9th, 11:47 a.m., Frank and I got back to the office from communications.
You know, we're going to feel pretty silly if Carmichael and Nielsen are already back there.
Yeah, no.
It's beginning to look like the tip from Dell about the hotel on Flower was off, huh?
Yeah. Still a lot of places to check, though.
Friday?
Yeah.
We got it for you.
What?
Carmichael and Nielsen. We found the hotel.
At 10:30 that morning, officers Murphy and Rafferty had gotten the first affirmative answer to their questions about the suspects. A room clerk in a small hotel at the corner of South Flower Street and Bunker Hill Avenue had recognized the mugshots of Carmichael and Nielsen. Further questioning brought out the name of the third man in the trio. He was identified as Ernest Hunter. A check of the name through our records netted us no new information on him, and the name and the description was forwarded again to Brereton up at CII in Sacramento and again to Pittsburgh for possible identification. In talks with Lieutenant Smyers and Chief of Detectives Thad Brown, it was decided to keep the man under 24-hour surveillance. 3 additional teams of men from robbery detail were assigned to the duty. For the next 7 days, the 3 men were under constant watch. Their habits were regular. Their movements during the day followed the same general pattern. The kickback on Ernest Hunter disclosed no criminal record. At the end of the first week of watching the men, it was decided that the next step in the operation was to place a microphone in their room so that we might be able to monitor their conversations. Frank and I got in touch with the sound crew at the crime lab, and we made arrangements for them. The necessary permits were obtained from the Federal Communications Commission, and the listening equipment itself was ready. We made arrangements with radio car officers to pick up the suspects for investigation. The sound crew, Frank and I, along with Murphy and Rafferty, stood by for word that the trio was in custody. Tuesday night, 9:40 p.m.
Should be getting word pretty quick.
Yeah.
Red 2 to Red 1. Red 2 to Red 1. Come in, Red 1.
That's Murph.
Yeah. Red 1 to Red 2. Come in, Red 2.
Any word yet? Over.
No, not yet.
We're all set in the manager's apartment.
Monitor to Outpost 1. Monitor to Outpost 1. Come in, Outpost 1.
Sounds like they got him.
Yeah, you want to take it?
Yeah.
Stand by, Red 3.
Outpost 1 to Monitor. Outpost 1 to Monitor. Go ahead.
Monitor to Outpost 1. Information received that suspects are in custody. Repeat, suspects are in custody. Acknowledge.
Outpost 1 to Monitor. Outpost 1 to Monitor. Message received. Outpost 1 out.
You heard it. Now. Red 1 to Red 2 and Red 3. Red 1 to Red 2 and Red 3. You read me, Red 2 and 3?
Red 2 to Red 1. Read 2. Red 3 to Red 1. Receiving clearly.
Red 1 to Red 3. Suspects are now in custody. Proceed with installation of listening equipment. Over.
Roger, Red
Red 3, please keep contact.
Will do, Red 1. Red 3 out.
Red 1 to Red 2. Come in, Red 2.
Red 2 to Red 1.
Murph, can you see the suspect's apartment from where you are?
Not good, Joe. It's down the hall and around the corner. First door. Over.
Red 1 to Red 3. Come in, Red 3.
Red 3 to Red 1.
Are you in the apartment yet?
Yeah, Joe. We're just starting to install the bug.
Is there a radio in the room?
Yeah, small table model. It's on the nightstand next to the bed.
Can you fix that before you leave?
Yeah, I'll pull one of the wires so it won't work.
Good. Where are you putting the bug?
We're laying it under the edge of the carpet near the door to the kitchen. Should be able to pick up the whole room from there.
Well, there's nothing to do now until we get it finished, huh?
Yeah. We got the recorder all set up?
Yeah, it's in the room. Sound crew came in this afternoon and made the installation on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to work it? Yeah, I think so. Jack checked me out on it. It's pretty simple. Just like playing a piano. Press a key and away it goes.
Well, I hope you got it. I've always had trouble with them. Last time out, I wanted to rewind one of the spools and listen to something. Ended up erasing everything we had.
Yes, I remember that very well.
I was afraid you would.
Mm-hmm.
Red 3 to Red 1. Red 3 to Red 1. Come in, Red 1.
It's the sound crew.
Yeah.
Red 1 to Red 3.
At completed installation, we're leaving the apartment.
Have you seen anybody in the halls?
No, all clear. We've had more than our share of luck on this one, Joe.
Yeah, let's hope it holds out. 11:15 p.m. The installation of the listening equipment was completed, and Frank and I, along with Officer Pat Murphy, took up our positions in the room we intended to use as a monitoring post. Officer Rafferty went back to the city hall and told them that we'd finished and we were ready to have the suspects released. In the meantime, Carmichael, Nielsen, and Hunter had been fingerprinted and mugged. A search of their persons had failed to reveal any incriminating evidence, and the time that they'd been held had allowed us to make the necessary installation. After the trio had been released, we received information that they were proceeding toward the hotel. Frank, Murphy, and I waited for them at the monitor post to come into their room. 12:35 a.m.
That's them.
Get the recorder, huh?
Right.
You want to take care of the log, Frank?
Yeah. See, it's 12:36 a.m.
That's it.
Lousy deal, boy. Just wanted to ask you some questions, that's all. That's what you think. They had a reason. You're so smart, you tell me why. Ah, shut up. Will you, Carmichael? You weren't such a big man when he started asking you the questions all the time, saying how he was going to tell them all. Why don't you shut your mouth? Probably when you got tanked up in that Turkish bath, that's probably what tipped him. What tip? A couple of uniformed cops stopped us on a routine investigation. They got nothing. Anything on it you think you'll let us go? Well, do you? You think you'll let us go? Oh, why don't you dry up? Hunter? Yeah? Turn on the radio, will you? Get some music? Yeah. And next time you get tanked, come back here, huh? Don't go roaming all over town. That's why they picked us up. You said something. What'd I say? You know what I said, huh? Do you? You being a big man, you tell me what I said to them. They picked me up. Go ahead, tell me. You said something. I don't know what it was, but you shut up your mouth. Hey, Hunter, what's the matter with the radio? I thought you was going to turn it off. I'm fine, see. I'll keep moving. Don't worry. That doesn't make any difference. I'm going to hit the sack. Nice to have you shut for a while. You open your mouth anymore, you got more trouble you can handle. That's the way it looks to you. Yeah, it does. You guys don't shut up, I'm going to throw one of you out of here. Now shut up and get some sleep. Good night. Good night. Still wish we got the radio on this.
And that's the way it went for the next 5 days. When the men were in the room, they argued continually. They talked about the deal they were working on, but from their conversation, there was no way of learning what they planned. When they left the room, they were constantly under surveillance, but their movements were routine. They took their meals in the same restaurant. They went to movies. They sat in bars, always together. During the time they were out of the apartment, they made no local contacts. They received no telephone calls. They made none. We knew that they were planning something, but there was no way of knowing what it was. All conversation in the room was recorded and listened to over and over again in the hope that we could come up with some kind of a lead. But the time spent in replaying the recordings netted us nothing. From what they'd said, we figured that whatever they were planning would take place on either Tuesday, August 17th, or on Wednesday, August 18th. On Tuesday, 3-way cars were assigned to the streets in front of the hotel, but the suspects acted as usual. On Wednesday, they didn't leave their room. Frank, Murphy, and I continued to wait. On the streets outside, 3 other teams of men were standing by in undercover cars. 9:30 p.m. That's their telephone. Get the recorder, Murph.
Yep.
9:31 p.m.
Yeah.
I'll get it. Hello? Yeah. When? Right. Okay, we'll leave right now. Yep. What? Yeah, that's the word we got. Right, we'll see you in about 30 minutes. Right. Hey, how are we going to know you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got it right. Hey, who was that? The contact? Yeah. The stuff just got in. We're supposed to pick it up right away. Oh, looks like maybe we got to work now. It's too soon for me. Let's go.
That's it. I'll get it out. Outpost 1, the units 1K89, 1K88, 1K87. Suspects are leaving room. Suspects are leaving room. Outpost 1 out. All right, let's go.
I wish we knew what it was. It sounds like it might be narcotics.
Well, it could be. Doesn't make a lot of difference, does it? Yeah. At least we know it's something. By the time we got to the street, the suspects were getting into their car and pulling away from the curb. Frank, Murphy, and I got to our car and followed them. They drove down South Flower to the corner of Palm Drive and turned left. 3 blocks further, they pulled into a gas station and apparently asked directions. They turned south on Broadway and drove about a mile. At Santa Barbara Avenue, they turned left again and drove 3 blocks. They stopped and parked the car in front of a small bar. We informed the other units of the activity and asked them to stand by in the area. Carmichael got out of the car and entered the bar. Murphy left us and entered the bar after him. Carmichael returned in a few minutes with another man. The 2 of them got back into the car and they talked. At the end of that time, all 4 of the men got out of the automobile and then they entered the bar. Shortly after that, Carmichael, Nielsen, and Hunter walked out of the place. Carmichael was carrying a small package wrapped in plain brown paper and tied with a string. The 4th man wasn't with him. Frank and I got out of our car and approached the men as they stood talking. All right, hold it up, police officers. Over there. Put your hands up on that wall.
What's going on?
Get your hands up there. Frank, you want to check in the package?
Yeah.
Keep your hands on that wall.
Lousy deal. I hope you're happy, Carmichael. I hope you're real happy.
What are you talking about?
I've got to lay this one to you. You really took care of this.
Stand still and keep quiet. How about it, Frank?
I don't know.
What do you mean?
Where's money? $20 bills. Must be $15,000-$20,000 worth.
Queer?
As far as I can tell, it's good.
Where's that put us?
Well, there's $20,000 here.
Yeah.
Let's find out where they got it.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
There are good reasons why thousands of people are changing to Chesterfield every day. Why Chesterfield is the largest selling two-way cigarette in America. Why Chesterfield is best for me and best for you. People these days want facts. When you want people to use your product, you have to tell them what effect it has on people who do use it regularly. That's why a doctor has examined for almost 2 years a large group of Chesterfield smokers. 45% of them have, on the average, been smoking Chesterfields for well over 10 years. What is the effect on these people from smoking Chesterfield? No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses, says the doctor. Consider Chesterfield's record with these smokers, with millions of other smokers throughout America. Another good reason for you to change to Chesterfield. Regular or king size, Chesterfield is best for me, best for you.
10:02 a.m. The 4 suspects were taken into custody and removed to the city hall for interrogation. We got in touch with the Secret Service and asked them to come over to the office to check on the currency. The agent arrived and, after looking at the money, pointed out several minute mistakes that had been made in the engraving of the plates. He went on to explain, however, that this particular printing was one of the best that he'd ever seen. He told us that the paper used in the bills would be analyzed and that we'd receive copies of the reports as soon as they were finished. 12:14 a.m. While Murphy, Rafferty, and the Secret Service man questioned Nielsen in the interrogation room, Frank and I talked to Carmichael in the squad room. We questioned him for about an hour, but he refused to say anything that would help us get a lead to the source of the counterfeit. 1:30 a.m.
How long you figure you can keep this up, Carmichael?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, now, come off it. We're getting tired of playing kid games here. We want to know where the queer came from now.
Who says it's queer?
Guy that printed it was pretty sloppy. He made a lot of mistakes.
Joe?
Yummer.
See you a minute?
Yeah. Be right back.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Nothing. Nielsen won't say a word. Gives it to us that he didn't know what was going on. Says he just went out there to pick up a package.
They say who they were running the errand for?
Well, tells us just he went along for the ride. The whole thing was Carmichael's idea.
Mm-hmm.
We thought maybe we'd go to work on Hunter, see what we can get from him.
Okay.
You going to stick with Carmichael?
Yeah, I guess so. From what we heard in the room, if there's going to be a break, I got a hunch it's going to come from him.
Okay. You got anything, let us know, huh?
Right away.
Oh, big man's back again. Your friend there tell you all about it?
No, but yours did.
Hmm?
Nielsen just laid the whole thing in your lap.
You're kidding.
So you want to talk to him?
What'd he say?
The way he tells it, he was just along for the ride. You're the big wheel in the whole thing.
He said that?
I said you could talk to him if you want to.
Well, he ain't going to make it. He ain't going to lay it on me.
You want to tell us your side of it?
Yeah, I'll tell you the way it happened. That lousy bum. How do you like that, him saying I'm the wheel? I'll tell you.
All right, now where'd the queer come from?
I don't know.
I thought you were going to tell us.
I'm doing that. I really don't know where it came from.
You turn up with $20,000 in $20 bills, and you ask us to believe that you don't know where it was printed.
I'm not asking you anything. I'm telling you what I know. That's it.
Well, tell us about your part.
Nielsen, Hunter, and me were approached in Pittsburgh.
By who?
I don't know.
We're going that way again, huh?
I say you don't believe me. That's the way it happened.
The guy who approached you, he just walked up and said, here's $20,000, just like that, huh?
No, the deal was that Nielsen, Hunter, and me were supposed to come out here. We were supposed to check into a hotel and wait for a call. Guy who called us would have the queer. He'd turn it over to us and we'd pass it.
You bought the counterfeit?
Yeah.
What'd you pay for it?
$2.50.
For $20?
Yeah, $2.50 for $20.
You paid the other man we picked up?
Yeah, we gave him $2,500.
You ever seen the man before?
What?
The man you bought the queer from. Do you know him?
No, never saw him before.
He's not the man who made the original contact in Pittsburgh.
No, a guy back east was an old man.
How old?
I don't know, maybe 55, 60, around in there.
Not the fellow you met tonight.
I told you that before. It's not the same man.
Hear him use a name of any kind?
No. Just to call him Pop, that's all. Pop.
Give us a description of this man, Pop.
What's in it for me?
Well, what do you got now?
Nothing.
All right, it'll stay that way. You're in big trouble, Carmichael. If you're smart at all, you're going to cop out the whole thing and cooperate with us.
This lousy Nielsen. Him all the time yelling about how it was all set. All the time saying we had it made. Sure, I'll go with you. I just want to see Nielsen get his, that's all. Just want to see him get his.
We're going to want you to look at some pictures, too.
I told you I'd go the route. You just tell me what you want to know. If I got the answer, so have you.
All right.
What'd he tell you?
What?
That lousy Nielsen. What'd he tell you about how it happened? He tell you the way I did? He tell it that way?
Pretty much, yeah.
Sure, that's the way it happened. Can't be told any other way.
Well, Nielsen might give you an argument there. Further interrogation of the other three men in the operation served to corroborate the story that we'd been given by Carmichael. $2,500 in cash was found on the fourth suspect. Once the other men were confronted with the fact that Carmichael had told us everything he knew concerning the operation, they all followed suit. But other than telling us that they knew the head man in the counterfeiting act as Pop, they couldn't come up with any further information. From the man who'd been in the bar, we learned that he'd met Pop in Pittsburgh. He also told us that as far as he knew, the counterfeiter had been in prison at one time or another. However, the suspect was unable to tell us in what state or on what charges Pop had served time. He went on to tell us that he'd gotten the money in Pittsburgh and that Pop had told him that he'd be contacted later. The Secret Service had completed their analysis of the counterfeit bills, and they told us that they were some of the most perfect printing jobs that they'd run across. The counterfeiter had made one major mistake, however. In the printing of the currency, he'd impregnated the paper with small silken hairs so that it would stand close inspection. The currency now in use is made with nylon hairs. The agent from the Secret Service told us that they had agents working on tracing the manufacturer of the paper in the hopes that they could come up with a lead as to the identity of Pop. The four suspects were booked into the city jail. Thursday, August 19th, we ran the name Pop through our moniker file. Of the 47 cards turned over to us by the Record Bureau, 19 of the suspects listed matched the descriptions that we'd been given. The pictures of the men were pulled and shown to Carmichael and the other three suspects. They were unable to give us an identification. The name and description was sent to George Brereton in Sacramento, and he sent us another 150 possible. These were checked out without result. The nickname and physical description of the man was sent to Washington, and we got back over 1,000 names and pictures. It took us 6 weeks, working with the Secret Service, to check out these possibles. The results, nothing. Tuesday, October 5th, Frank and I got back to the office. I get it. Robbery Friday. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, wait a minute. Wait till I get that down. All right, go ahead. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, well, it should check out. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, we'll meet you.
What you got?
Report of the paper and the queer bills just came through.
Yeah?
Looks like we found Pop. In checking the manufacturers of paper similar to that used in the counterfeit $20 bills, the Secret Service had come up with the name of a small print shop in the eastern section of Los Angeles. The paper used was of an unusual type, and there were not many orders for it. This particular shop had ordered large quantities of it in the past and was continuing to use it. In checking out the name of the man on the order blanks, the Secret Service had found that he'd been convicted of robbery and had served a term in the federal penitentiary in Atlanta. He'd been released and had come to California and opened a small print shop. We spent the next 2 days checking the suspect out. His name was given as Stanley Jackson, age 47. For the next week, the print shop and Jackson himself were kept under constant surveillance. On Thursday, October 14th, at 11:50 p.m., the suspect was followed to his print shop.
I'll cover the front of the shop, Joe.
Right, mate. Come on, Frank.
Yeah. Joe?
Yeah. Sounds like a press, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Come on.
Back door's around here.
You see what's going on in there?
No. Got the windows all painted over. What do you figure?
Well, it doesn't leave us with a lot of choice. If we go in and he's not printing counterfeit, we're going to make him so hinky that we might never nail him.
Yeah. If we don't go in, he might get rid of the place, and we're in trouble there, too.
Yeah, like I said, we haven't got much choice, have we? All right, let's go.
What's going on? What are you doing in
Police
here?
officers, you're under arrest. You want to check the press, Frank?
You've got no right to come in here like this. I know my rights. You haven't got a warrant. You've got no right to act like this.
You want to kill it, Frank?
I got it. Got a place for the press, Joe. Doing the green overlay. Take a look.
You haven't got any right touching those. They're mine. They belong to me, mister.
Where'd you get the plates, Jackson?
They're good, aren't they, mister? The very best.
Where'd you get them?
Made them. Made them myself.
Where'd you learn engraving?
In prison. When they sent me to prison, I learned all about engraving. Real engraving. Not photo process, but the real thing. Finest plates I've ever seen. The best. Beautiful money, isn't it? Best I've ever seen. Fool anybody. Did it all myself. Pass it anywhere. Fool anybody, anywhere.
Yeah.
Just look at it, mister. That's a genuine article, isn't it? Real money. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect, mister.
No, you're wrong there. The government didn't print it.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 11th, trial was held in federal court, Southern District of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we've tried very hard to set a Dragnet standard. Now, to put that in just a few words, we try to make each program the kind of entertainment that you want. Now, we're going to keep working real hard at that. And you know, the people who make Chesterfields feel the same way about their cigarette. To sell a product, you have to make it good and keep it good. And the latest reports from our research lab shows Chesterfield is highest in quality. Highest in quality, low in nicotine. Smoke America's most popular two-way cigarette. Chesterfield, regular or king size. They're milder, they're satisfying, they're best for me, best for you.
Vernon Alex Carmichael, Howard Raymond Nielsen, Ernest Richard Hunter, Philip Roger Harger, and Stanley Norman Jackson were tried and convicted of violation of Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 474, printing and issuing counterfeit money. Violation of this title is punishable by a fine of $5,000 and imprisonment in a federal penitentiary for a period not to exceed 15 years. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Clarence Cassell, Jack Crucian, Harry Bartell. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely different Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork tip Fatima? It's the smooth smoke with Fatima tips of perfect cork. King size for longer filtering and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima with tips of perfect cork is made and guaranteed by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers Tobacco Company.
My name's Regan. I work for Anthony J. Lyon, International Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Wednesday at 9, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery and suspense and adventure in tonight's story of The Little Man's Lament.
They called it Margate Mansion, but the name didn't fit. It was a pile of old cement and cracked stucco held up by a half a dozen tired palm trees. The people inside didn't fit either. A crusty old lady who talked backwards, a redhead with an urge to travel fast. But it was Junior who won first prize. He was half Einstein and half Hollywood playboy. Only when this boy played, it was with poison. It started on a Tuesday. I was headed down Taft Avenue on my way to the laundromat. I had a date with a washing machine and a blonde cashier named Gloria. That's when a cab pulled up beside me and the Lion hopped out. He was blowing sparks out of a fat cigar. I could tell by the 50-cent smell that we had a new client.
Oh, Jeffrey, my boy, I'm glad I caught you.
Get back in the cab, Fatso. I'm busy.
But I have to talk to you. I was just going up to your apartment.
Have a good time. I'll be out all day.
Now, Jeffrey, is that any way to talk? After all I've done for you? After the many opportunities I've given you to help your fellow beings in distress?
I've worked 3 weeks without a rest. I gotta wash my socks.
Wash your socks? You can talk about a thing like that when I'm here to present you with a golden opportunity? An opportunity to demonstrate our humanitarian sentiments? A chance to lift one who's in trouble?
How much did you lift from him?
$100, and it's not a him, it's a her. Oh, it's really a simple job, Jeffrey. Very simple. I've just been over there. Lovely old house, fine old family. The Margates, flower of the old South.
Gone to see.
Well, yes. But you know how it is with descendants of old families. Fresh young growth choked back by the weeds of the old family stock. The fresh new plant smothered by decay and ruin.
Try Vigoro.
Regan, you don't seem to understand. We've been retained by Mrs. Margate. It's about her nephew, Hilary Margate. Strange youth, very strange youth indeed. If Mrs. Margate needs protection from him, I tell you, it's a very serious matter.
Well, so's my laundry.
Regan, will you listen to me?
There's another choice?
Yes. See Mrs. Margate, root out the facts.
Get her a gardener.
She doesn't need a gardener. She needs you, and don't give me any more trouble.
Okay, sweetheart. Here.
Wait a minute. What's it?
My laundry. Put the shirts and socks in a washing machine, put 2 bits in the slot. And stay away from the blonde. She doesn't like cigar smoke.
Regan, this means you will see Mrs. Margate?
Don't try to be coy. You knew I'd see her the minute you stepped out of that cab. I walked up Vine and turned right past Franklin. All the places up there are old, but Margate Mansion was old when William S. Hart was Gene Autry. A bunch of turrets made out of wood that termites wouldn't look at. But I was looking at what was standing in the front bay window looking at me. Red hair and wide eyes and a complexion like skim milk. She was what answered the door when I twisted the old-fashioned bell.
Hello. I saw you from the window.
Yeah, I saw you seeing me.
Come in. Come in, please.
Thanks.
I hope you don't mind the disorder. I'm afraid I don't. Your name?
Regan.
Oh. Sit here, Mr. Regan. Please don't mind the dust on the sofa. No one nice ever comes, so it doesn't matter. I like you. I want you to stay.
It shows.
You're not married or anything like that, Mr. Regan.
Nothing like that.
Oh, that's nice. I'm not married either, Mr. Regan.
I heard it was Mrs. Margate.
Oh, that's my aunt. I'm not married at all. Mr. Regan, you didn't just come to see my aunt.
I've got a lot of time.
Oh, I've been foolish again, haven't I? Oh, sometimes I get so mixed up. I'm...
Oh, wait a minute. Wait.
Yes, Mr. Regan.
What's your name?
Gwendolyn?
Mrs. Margate's niece.
Yes?
Hilary's your brother?
Yes, Mr. Regan. All those questions.
Business.
Business?
International Detective Bureau. Your aunt's on the line for $100 worth.
A detective?
Well, that's polite for it.
Oh, you shouldn't have told me that. You shouldn't have told me that at all.
Suppose you tell me some things.
I'm mixed up, Mr. Regan. I can't tell.
Gwendolyn.
It's my aunt.
Did I hear the front door bell?
Don't say anything. Don't tell her.
I did hear the front door. Well, Gwendolyn, who is this man?
Regan.
Regan? Oh, you're the man they call the Lion's Eye. I've been expecting you. I'm gardening.
I should have figured.
What? Oh, I have a green thumb, as they say. Follow me. Go to your room, Gwethelyn.
Yes, Annie.
Gwethelyn?
Yes, Annie, I'm going.
She went all right, like a rabbit at a greyhound race. Only I wasn't sure this rabbit could stay ahead of the dogs. But right then I had another problem, keeping up with Mrs. Margate. It wasn't the way she walked. It was her talk that winded me.
Go to the garden. My niece and my nephew problems that weigh heavily on my heart, Mr. Regan. Oh, this way. Family collapsing and falling to ruin. Just 3 Margates left. Myself and the 2 children, Gwethelyn and Hilary. Only 52 years old with such responsibilities.
Hilary?
No, myself, of course. 52. But Hilary's the real problem. You follow me?
Right behind you.
What? Oh, yes, out this door. Oh, the garden. There. You see that pool by the date palm?
Uh-huh.
Fish. Carp, Mr. Regan. He concocts things. Hilary brews things, poisons. One day he fed something he had brewed to Hilary F. Margate, Sr., the carp, and he turned bright green.
Hilary?
The carp. We found him next morning floating belly up, stark bright green. Hilary F. Margate, Sr., the carp. We name our fish after the dear departed members of our family.
Nice custom.
Yes. Hilary poisoned the carp when he was only 146 years old.
The carp?
Yes. Come along. Hilary was only a boy at the time. Such a problem, Mr. Regan. Oh, here, my vegetable garden. Have an onion, Mr. Regan. Delicious.
Yeah. Look, Mrs. Margate.
Eat the onion, Mr. Regan. George, George is my gardener.
I'm over here, Mrs. Margaret.
Oh, well, you can go out back and cut the weeds, George. Mr. Regan and I have some private matters to discuss.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent man, George. Excellent. And be sure you get them all, George. We must be rid of the weeds.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am.
Now we're alone, Mr. Regan. The onion, go on, eat it. As I was saying, Hilary, that boy, such a problem.
Yeah, as you were saying.
Yes. Good, aren't they?
Mrs. Margate, what is it you want me to do?
Do? Well, I want you to look after Hilary.
I was told you wanted protection.
Well, it's the same thing, isn't it?
No. Hilary needs a nursemaid. That's not our line.
No, see here, Mr. Regan. International Detective Bureau has already agreed to handle my case. Mr. Lyon himself accepted my check.
He'll accept anyone's check.
But he promised to help.
Well, then talk to him.
I'm talking to you. I'm explaining.
You're explaining nothing. You give me a lot of double talk, and I have a feeling that's all you want to give me. Now, make sense.
All right. You're going to force me to say what I hoped never to say to anyone. Not anyone. My life is in danger.
I can believe that.
My tea. Yesterday, I noticed the odor of almonds.
I'm listening.
No, I didn't drink it naturally. Naturally. Hilary brewed that tea, Mr. Regan. My nephew.
Now you've said something. Where is he?
Ocean Park, the shooting gallery.
Shooting gallery?
Yes, he's strange, very strange. He brews things, collects guns, practices shooting. You won't like him.
Suppose I go talk to him.
Well, you'd better. As I've said, Mr. Regan, I don't wish to be murdered.
I headed the car down La Brea to Olympic and then out to the Ocean Park Pier. It was afternoon business, popcorn and sailor style. The shooting gallery had one customer, a kid in a corduroy sport coat with a face like a cantaloupe out of season. He was taking shots at the little swinging targets. You didn't need the family album to figure him for Hilary Margate. I walked over, but he didn't take the gun from his shoulder.
Leeks.
Come again?
Leeks. Scallions.
My name's Regan.
Allium ascalonicum, Mr. Regan. Onions. You've been eating them.
So?
This suggests you're the private detective hired by my aunt. Bullseye?
You read palms, too?
I fancy myself an amateur detective, Mr. Regan. I seldom miss.
I notice.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Regan, I'm interested in hiring you myself.
Oh, that's a switch.
I think there's going to be a murder.
Anybody I know?
Yes, my aunt.
Who plays the heavy?
The heavy?
Who's going to kill her?
I am.
Practicing?
I don't need practice, Mr. Regan.
Even experts get the chair.
Possibly.
All right, Junior, let's start making sense.
Very well, Mr. Regan. My aunt is a domineering autocrat. Actually, I should hate to kill her. But I feel I must. To protect myself, you understand.
From what?
You know, I dabble in poisons, Mr. Regan. I am empoisonné, as the French say. Poisoner. When I was 15...
I heard that one, yeah. Hilary F. Margate Sr., the carp.
Oh, he died a horrible death.
My regrets. Now, get to the point.
Ours is an evil household, Mr. Regan. The last of the Margates, a decaying race. My aunt, for example, and Gwethelin.
I met her.
Then you understand that something must be done. This is an urgent matter, Mr. Regan. It would be wise to take my case.
One Margate for a client's too many.
Very well, Mr. Regan. But you want information. Perhaps I'll give it to you tomorrow. I'll phone you. As they say on the radio, you may save a life. Possibly your own.
It made a real funny joke the way he said it. Only I wasn't laughing. And neither was he. I got in my car and started for town to tell the lion he'd been underpaid. All the way in, I kept getting a picture of a mechanical rabbit going around a track. I tried putting Gwethelin's face on it, and Mrs. Margate's, then Hilary's. The others didn't fit. Gwethelin's did. I was still thinking about it when I parked on Hill Street and got out to walk. And that's when I put another face on the rabbit, my own. The guy who fell in behind me and started following was no greyhound, but he had squeaky shoes that slowed down when I slowed down. We stayed together for a block, and when I turned left toward the office, he turned left. I wondered if he was an amateur. I found out when I sidestepped into an alley and pulled him in after me. All right, Buster, this is where you get off.
Hey, say, what the devil?
Come on, who hired you?
Let me go.
Give me some answers.
Talk. You want muscles, huh? Muscles? All right. I got him.
He had him all right, and he knew where to use him. He had a bald head, and he used that, too, right in the middle of my stomach. I shouldn't have bent double, but I did. It was a setup. The next blow sent me around the fender of a truck parked in the alley. I went to my knees. When I came up, it was too late. The bald head was gone. But someone else was there.
Mr. Regan.
It was Gwethelin Margate.
Mr. Regan, you should be careful. You all right?
He was following me.
No, Mr. Regan, no, he wasn't. I was going to your office. He was following me.
She was ready to talk, but the fog in my head wouldn't let me listen. I got her around the corner into a bar. She waited until the waiter brought the drinks.
2 Bourbon Street, Mr. Regan. And if I may say so, this is a lovely tomato you're escorting into my humble palate.
You said so.
And may I say, Mr. Regan, I'm also partial to redheads. On account of my first love was a redhead. She played second flute in our orchestra.
Sure. Keep the change.
That was when I was with Stokowski. The Hollywood Bowl, how well I remember. Me and my fiddle. We made together beautiful music. Me and the fiddle, you understand, not the redhead. She gave me nothing but the cold shoulder on account she was hot for a guy that played bass.
Come on, you told me this story yesterday.
You don't wish to hear the story of my life, Mr. Regan? Well, it was the same way with Mr. Stokowski. The artist is lost in the world of today.
All right. Now we can talk.
I don't know, Mr. Regan.
Who was following you?
It doesn't matter. I'm used to it, Mr. Regan.
Who was the mug?
It doesn't matter, Mr. Regan. It's too late anymore. I thought...
You thought what?
I thought you'd help me, Mr. Regan. I was on my way to your office.
Why?
There's going to be trouble, Mr. Regan. Serious trouble.
What says so?
Everything. Hillary, my aunt, they're all acting so strangely. And those people who come to the house.
People? Who?
I don't know. The man who was following me is one of them. Oh, something strange is going on, Mr. Regan. Something terrible.
You still haven't told me anything.
Don't you see? It isn't anything I can tell you. It's a feeling. A terrible feeling. Everything's wrong.
I've got to have facts, lady.
I don't... Wait. There's one thing.
Yeah?
The gardener, Mr. Hendricks.
George?
Yes. My aunt knows him, Mr. Regan. Better than just a gardener. Something else.
What?
George has been in prison. I know he's been in prison. I heard him say something once on the telephone.
To who?
I don't know. There's so much I don't know.
That makes 2 of us.
You don't believe me. You've got to believe me. Something terrible's going to happen.
Sure. Hillary's going to kill your aunt.
Hillary? Oh, no. That's not it at all. It's me they're going to kill, don't you see? They're going to kill me.
After that, I couldn't get anything out of it that made sense. I loaded her in a cab and then walked over to Pershing Square to feed the pigeons. Maybe something would come to me. Nothing did, except the pigeons. After a while, I went over to the Examiner morgue to look up George Hendricks. There was nothing, not a word. But the Lion has ways of finding those things out, so I went back to the office. The Lion had information, all right, but not the kind I expected.
Regan, where have you been? I've been calling every saloon in the city.
You got the wrong one.
I often wonder why I hired you.
Okay, Fatso, why the steam?
I'll tell you why. Because you were supposed to be on the Margate case, that's why.
What do you think I've been doing?
I know what you're going to be doing. You're going to get out to Margate Mansion right now and fast. They just found Hilary Margate in his room. He's been shot through the head.
This is CBS, and you're listening to The Story of the Little Man's Lament. Tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Here's a special word for those of you who are interested in setting up a retirement fund. One that will permit you to have some of the good things of life before you're too old to enjoy them. Join the payroll savings plan where you work and invest in United States savings bonds. Under this plan, your firm sets aside whatever sum you name from each paycheck and uses the money to buy savings bonds for you. Buy United States bonds and keep them. And now, back to tonight's story of the Little Man's Lament and Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Nothing made sense. There were 3 Margates, the old lady, her nephew Hilary, and his sister, Gwethelyn. And all 3 of them wanted to hire me to stop a murder. Then the Lion tells me Hilary Margate has just been shot. Well, one thing was sure. With 3 people to work for, one of them was bound to turn up dead. I put the Lion to work looking up the gardener, George Hendricks. Then I hopped in the car and headed out to the Margate place off Franklin Avenue. By the time I got there, it was turning dark. Out front, a black and white Nash said, "Police," in big letters. But when the old lady opened the door, she acted as though she'd never heard of police.
Oh, Mr. Regan, please come in. I'm sorry you didn't get to meet him. Hilary, strange boy.
I met him.
You did? Oh, this way, Mr. Regan. Well, it's no matter. It was inevitable. Hilary's uncle, my husband, before he died, warned me something like this would happen. He was a young fool, Hilary.
How did it happen?
Happen? Oh, with a gun, of course. How else could one shoot oneself except with a gun? In here, Mr. Regan, we won't be bothered by them. Sometimes police can be so nosy. Do sit down. We shall have tea.
With or without almonds?
I know what you're thinking, Mr. Regan, but I'm sure it had nothing to do with it.
What did?
Just a moment, Mr. Regan. There's someone at our door. Well, Gwethelyn?
I was just coming to see you, Auntie. I thought you'd want me to tell Mr. Regan about Hilary.
Yes, a good idea. Mr. Regan, I'll let Gwethelyn tell you. She was here at the time. Oh, she was a lovely woman. Gwethelyn's mother, my late sister. Well, go ahead, child. Go ahead.
I got home about 5.
Better sit down, child. No, I'm not there. Here.
Yes, Auntie. Well, Mr. Regan, Hilary was in the gun room reading. I went in to talk to him, but he ordered me out of the room. He said he didn't want to be disturbed. He was concentrating.
Go on.
I left the room. A couple of minutes later, I heard a shot. When I went back, he was there. Hilary. On the floor, dead.
Then you called the police.
I told Auntie. She called them.
They've been so nice, the police. They promised not to disturb me any more than necessary. Wasn't that nice?
They're in his room now?
With Hilary. Dear Hilary.
Yeah, you won't need me anymore. I think I'd better be going.
Oh, yes, of course. Gwethelyn, see Mr. Regan to the door like a good girl.
Yes, honey.
And come again sometime soon, Mr. Regan. We shall have tea together.
Thanks.
This way, Mr. Regan. Mr. Regan, I've got to talk to you this way quickly.
What's on your mind?
About Hilary. Something he did tonight.
Like what?
When he came home, before that, he had a book. A big book. He was reading it when it happened. Why would he read a book and then shoot himself.
You got me. What was the title?
I don't know. But when the police came, the book was gone.
Where did he buy it?
I don't know that either. But I'm sure it's important, Mr. Regan. I'm sure of it. You don't think it's important?
I don't know. I reach for answers. Sometimes they come up air.
I know something else, Mr. Regan. It's about George. George Hendricks, our gardener.
Yeah?
He disappeared this afternoon after it.
Go on.
Auntie sent for him when the police arrived, but he wasn't in his room. The police were angry. They think he might have done it.
And you think so, too?
I'm not sure, Mr. Regan. I'm not sure of anything now.
She turned and ran into the house and left me with a lot of night air and cool breeze. If Hendricks had taken a powder, the police would check that angle. That left me with a book, a very big book. I walked down Franklin toward my car. Up ahead, I saw a small man in a black suit locking up a shop door. Over his head, a sign said Franklin Avenue Bookshop. That did it. I caught him before he closed up.
I beg your pardon.
You know Hillary Margate lives up the street?
Yes, I know him. Why?
Was he in today?
He's a regular customer.
Was he in? Yes or no?
Yes.
Did he buy a book?
No.
You sure?
Positive. He asked for a volume we didn't have.
What volume?
I don't remember the title because we didn't have it in stock. It was a textbook.
Textbook?
Yes, on horticulture. Plants.
Plants?
Does that mean something to you?
Yeah. It could explain why the Margate family has gone to seed. It was crazy, but it was beginning to untangle. I headed for my car up the street. Before I touched the starter, I found out I had company.
All right, Regan, drive.
The gun in my back told me he meant it. One look in the mirror told me he was George Hendricks. Well, you're calling him. Where to?
Your apartment. I want to talk. Have a chair, Regan. It's your house.
Thanks.
I talk. You sit and listen.
I can stand.
I say sit down.
It's your party, Hendricks.
There's been an accident at the Margate house.
I heard.
Hillary shot himself.
That right?
You think different?
Changed my mind.
I didn't kill him, Regan.
Who said you did?
I never could get used to confinement.
Oh. San Quentin?
Sandstone, Minnesota.
Tell me more.
Listen, Regan, the police don't like guys with a record.
What was your rap, Hendricks?
Checks, something like that. Forgery.
So why tell me?
You're moving in my direction, Regan. I don't like it.
Is that why you ran?
There's something else.
Yeah?
The name. It isn't Hendricks. It's Margate.
What's that?
Freehold Quincy Margate.
No wonder you changed it.
There were several reasons.
Yeah, Old South family.
Listen, Regan, you gotta believe me. I didn't kill Hillary. I didn't have anything to do with it.
You know a big guy, bald head with a stupid face?
Morley. He works at the Margate place, part-time.
What's his job?
Flunky. He works in the garden with me.
When he isn't tailing the girl.
Leave me out of that part of it.
Well, do I answer that?
Yes, but watch what you say.
Regan.
Regan, I expected to hear from you sooner. What's happened to you? Regan, are you there?
Yeah, just got here.
What's the matter? Someone with you?
You're a genius.
Well, I just found out about Hendricks.
You guessed it.
You mean he's there?
Go on.
Listen, that's not his real name, Regan. He's a Margate. Freehold Quincy Margate. Age 46, height 5'11", weight 180.
Get to the point.
Well, about that prison record, quite correct. It was 8 years ago. Charge?
Narcotics violation.
Well, yes, but be careful. He'll hear you.
No, he won't. He just went out the door, fast. I had what I needed. I averaged 50 down Franklin and pulled up in front of the Margate place 10 minutes later. It was dark and it looked empty, like a beer can after a picnic. I found an open window and crawled in. It was the gun room, and that meant I didn't have to go much farther. But somebody changed my mind for me when the door suddenly opened, and a hunk of orange lightning stabbed in my direction. I ducked in the chair next to me, toppled over. I couldn't wait for the next one.
Let me go!
Drop it.
You're hurting my...
That's better. Now some lights.
Mr. Regan, I thought you were one of them.
I'm not. That book Hillary was reading. I'm in a hurry, baby.
You already know, don't you, Mr. Regan? All right. I didn't see it closely. It had pictures of plants.
Like the ones in your backyard?
Yes. I I didn't know what it meant until...
Until Hillary got it, and then you were too scared to talk. Why?
Mr. Regan, Hillary didn't poison my aunt's tea. They only said he did so they could kill me and then blame him for it. That way they'd be rid of both of us.
Yeah, but Hillary caught on too quick.
That's why they killed him, Mr. Regan. Oh, don't let them know I know.
It won't matter now, baby. I circled around the house in a hurry. Empty. Then I tried the garden. That's when I saw it. 50 yards behind the house. A strange light at first, then something red that began to grow. Then smoke and more smoke. I ran to the back of the garden in the flames. She saw me coming.
Stand back, Mr. Regan.
Maybe tomorrow, Mrs. Margate.
I warn you, Regan. Stand back.
You hired me, remember?
Take one more step, Mr. Regan, and Morley will kill you.
You figured he'd be around? Put that gun down, Morley. The smoke's getting in your eyes.
No! Shoot him, Morley! Shoot him!
You're too late for that. I drove across the column of smoke and caught his arm as he tried to find me with that gun. I got to him first. I owed him something for what he'd given me in that alley, and I paid him back with interest. The old lady just stood there and glared at me, the fire reflecting in her eyes. It took me 10 minutes and my best sport coat to stop the blaze. But the price was cheap, because where the fire had been was a nice pile of Exhibit A. It looks just like an ordinary plant, but the police call it marijuana. Somebody spotted the smoke and called the fire department. The police were right behind them and loaded the last of the Margates into the wagon. And it was like Gweth said. She was scheduled to turn up poison, and I was supposed to testify that Hillary had done it. Only Hillary caught on too fast, and they gave him a bullet for his trouble. And after I finished up at headquarters, I went to the office and filled the lion in. He was disappointed.
And this fella the police picked up at the depot, this Hendricks, he wasn't the culprit we were looking for?
He was under the old lady's thumb like the rest of the family. She blackmailed him into growing this stuff. With his record, he couldn't afford to squawk.
He couldn't afford to squawk. How do you think I feel?
You got a check for $100, didn't you?
Well, yes, I did.
She did pay you, didn't she?
Well, you see, Jeffrey, that is, she gave me a check when I first went out there for $100.
You said that.
Well, I didn't think anything of it at the time, but, well, you see, her brother-in-law...
You mean...
Well, that is, Hendricks did have a prison record for narcotics violation, but, well, it seems upon examining the records more closely, there was an earlier sentence for,
Bad checks.
Yes. It seems to run in the family.
I don't get paid this week.
Go on. Quit me. Kick a man when he's down.
Oh, stop it.
You know I never withhold payment when I have it. Right now I don't have it. Maybe next week.
If you wait 2 weeks, it'll be Thanksgiving.
What's that mean?
You can have the end of the turkey I've been getting.
Jeffrey, you're not being kind. Remember my heart.
I'll try.
Oh, thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you. Now, here's 25 cents.
For what?
Go over and pick up your laundry. I forgot to wait for it.
Jeff Regan, Investigator, is written by William Frug and William Fifield, directed by Sterling Tracy, and stars Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arant. Jeff Regan, Investigator, is heard each week at the same time over CBS. Bob Stevenson speaking, and inviting you to be with us again next Wednesday at 9 for more suspense and mystery and adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, Made by Liggett & Myers, first major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A young girl has been found in a cheap hotel room, apparently an attempted suicide. There's reason to suspect foul play. Your job, investigate. To sell a product, you have to make it good and keep it good. What do the latest reports show about Chesterfield? Well, our research laboratory has compared it with the leading cigarettes in the country. Chesterfield is highest in quality, low in nicotine. Another good reason why thousands of people are changing to Chesterfield every day. Smoke America's most popular two-way cigarette. Regular or king size. You'll find Chesterfield really mild, really satisfying. Best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, November 19th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. We'd just gotten a call from Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, and it was 9:46 a.m. when we got to the second floor. The treatment room.
Yes?
Could I see Dr. Hall, please?
Come in, Joe. Joe, Frank?
Hi, Doc. This the girl?
Yeah.
How's she doing?
Well, not sure yet. Just finished the transfusion.
Well, when are you going to know?
We think she's going to live, but there's no way of telling right now how much damage has been done to the brain tissue.
Mm-hmm.
Bad bruise on her face. Must have received a bad blow. Might have gotten it when she fell.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go outside, huh? I can use a smoke.
Okay.
Well, if there's any change, I'll be out in the hall.
All right, Doctor.
You got a cigarette? I'm fresh out.
Yeah, here you are. Frank? Yeah, thanks. Here's a match.
Thanks.
I didn't know you gave transfusions in cases like this, Doc.
Won't have to very often. You see, a thing like this, the carbon monoxide in the gas joins with the hemoglobin in the red cells, won't let go. Blood takes the monoxide through the system and suffocates the brain tissue. We've given her some choramine, helps speed up the heart action. The way it looks, she's got a good chance of living, but we won't know how bad it really is until later.
It's a rough one, isn't it?
You find out who she is?
Well, according to the stuff we found in her wallet, her name's Mona Fenton. Another thing that doesn't make much sense, Doc. She registered into the hotel as Mrs. John Norris. Near as we can find out, she wasn't married.
How'd you come up with that?
Well, when the office got word about it, we tried to get in touch with her husband. We called the phone number on the ID that we found in her wallet, talked with her mother. She says the girl's single.
How about the guy she was with? You been able to talk to him?
No, haven't found out who he is.
Name doesn't check out, huh?
Not that we can find.
How about the mother? She give you anything?
Well, we just talked to her for a minute. We're going over there when we leave here.
Maybe she can come up with some answers.
I sure hope so.
A couple of more questions you can ask her.
Yeah? What's that?
Find out if the girl's been under a doctor's care.
What do you mean?
Checked her over when she came in. Found marks.
On her arm?
Yeah. I think she's an addict.
At 8:30 a.m. that morning, a guest in a small hotel on Grand Avenue had thought that he detected the odor of gas in the halls of the building. He notified the desk clerk, and together they conducted a search of the premises. Finally, they ascertained that the escaping gas was coming from a room on the third floor of the hotel. When the desk clerk got no answer to his calls, he used a passkey to open the door. Sprawled across the bed was a girl who appeared to be in her early 20s. The gas heater in the room had been turned on full, and the windows were closed, locked, and stuffed with pieces of torn sheets to keep the fumes in the room. The quick action of the desk clerk had undoubtedly saved the girl's life. While the hotel guest called an ambulance, the clerk turned off the gas, opened the windows, and administered artificial respiration to the girl until the ambulance crew arrived. As an attempted suicide, the homicide detail had to make an investigation, and Frank and I were assigned to the case. After we talked to Doc Hall at Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, we drove down to the hotel where the girl had been found.
Right in here.
Anybody been in this room since the other officers left?
No, sir. Told me to lock it until you could see it.
All right, sir. Well, this is just the way you found it, is that right?
Well, yes, of course. The gas is turned off, and I opened the windows, but everything else is the same.
I see. From what you said on the phone, she came in last night. Is that right?
Yes, sir. At least that's what the registration book says. They checked in at 10:15.
Did you take care of them?
No, I was out to dinner when they got here.
Who checked them in?
Jeff Christensen.
Is he around?
No, not right now. He'll probably be back tonight.
You know where we can find him?
I don't know. See, Jeff got paid last night. Got his week's wages. Last I saw him, he was on his way out on the town with some of his friends. Jeff goes out on the town. Maybe we don't see him a couple of days.
I see. But you figure he'll be back tonight, huh?
Oh, yes. Jeff only worked a couple of days last week, so he ain't going to go on much of the town.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the man Miss Fenton came in with?
No, I didn't. You were already in the room when I got back from dinner. I checked the book. I got the money from Jeff before I left. The man must have gone out sometime early this morning. I guess I was asleep. My room's just back of the desk. Fella must have got out while I was asleep.
I see. Did you get any calls from the room at all?
Not a one. Like I told those uniformed officers we hear, I didn't see them at all. Not a peep. Matter of fact, I was thinking how nice and quiet they were. But the way the room looks, they sure must have had some sort of argument.
Yes, sir. Huh. Would you know if they brought any baggage with them?
Matter of fact, I know they didn't. Sure looks like they did some heavy drinking, don't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Glasses. That bottle's almost empty.
Yeah. I'd rather you wouldn't touch the bottle.
Oh, yeah, well, I won't. Say, you talked to the girls' people yet?
No, sir, we haven't.
But you're planning to see them, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wonder if you'd do me a favor. You know when you see up people?
Yes, sir. What's that?
Well, I don't much mind the dirty glasses and having to straighten the room up. That's all part of the hotel business. But I wish you'd say something about the torn sheets. Tell the people about them. I don't want to cause no trouble, but maybe if they know how about the sheets were all torn up, they'd want to make good on them. You will mention them, won't you? Hmm?
Yes, sir. I'll call the office, Joe. Have them send out a crew, see what prints we can lift. All right, fine. Who else has a pass key to this room?
Oh, you mean beside me?
Yes, sir.
Well, ain't nobody.
Where's the key kept?
That hangs on a nail next to the desk. That big nail there. It hangs right on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you came into the room, did you notice if there was anything around the door to keep the gas inside?
I don't follow you.
Well, you found pieces of torn sheets around the windows, you say. Now, was there anything like that with the door?
Oh, yes, I'm with you now, yeah. Now, let me think. As I remember, no, there wasn't nothing there, just around the windows.
Mm-hmm. Was the key in the lock when you came up here?
You mean inside the room?
Yes, sir, that's right.
No. The reason I know that for sure is that I looked through the keyhole, tried to see what was in the room. No, sir, the key wasn't in. Of course, that don't mean nothing.
Sir?
Well, only a couple of the rooms have keys anyway. We don't use them anymore.
You mean you don't lock the doors?
Sure, we lock the doors. We got them all locked all the time. This is a respectable hotel. Of course we lock the doors. But not with those keys. We got those other locks on the doors.
Oh, I see.
You see, yeah, see that? Sort of like Yale locks. That kind, you know. That's what locks the doors, not the other keys.
Yes, I see.
Of course we lock the doors.
Yes, sir. The lock's catch when the door is closed, though. Is that right?
Yeah, locks them tight.
I got in touch with Lee Jones, Joe. He sent a crew right over. Good. I checked with Doc Hall. How's the girl? Oh, she's coming along. Doc says she's doing better.
Oh, these fellas that you're going to have roaming around here. What's this all about? There's something wrong?
We're not sure yet, sir.
Oh, dear. It always happens like this, don't it?
What's that, sir?
I try to run a respectable place. Goodness knows I do. I keep it right up to date. There's good service, and something like this happens. There was no reason for that girl to do a thing like this, not in my hotel. Now you cops come in here. Cops going to be all over the place. Tenants aren't going to like it. They ain't going to like it at all. Just because of that girl. Why'd she have to come in here and do a thing like this?
Why'd she have to do it at all, sir? 11:26 a.m. We questioned the people in the hotel. None of them could remember hearing any undue noise coming from the room where the girl had tried to kill herself. Normally, the investigation would have been routine, but with the possibility of foul play, we had to check every angle and then check it again. The crew from the crime lab arrived and went over the room. Under the bed, they found an empty capsule, the type commonly used to dispense heroin. They also came up with a clean set of fingerprints on both glasses. They were photographed, and the water glasses themselves were removed to the crime lab to be booked as evidence. The registration card the couple had signed was turned over to Don Meyer in handwriting. The name was checked through our record bureau, through the phone book, and through the city directory, but when the leads were checked out, we were no further in knowing who the man was who'd taken the room with Mona Fenton. Word was left at the hotel for the handyman to contact us as soon as he returned. Word was also left that if the man who'd registered with the Fenton girl returned, we were to be called. 11:45 a.m., the men from the crime lab finished their investigation and returned to the office to compile the results. Frank and I left the hotel and drove out to the address listed on the girl's identification. It was a large white colonial home near one of the colleges. We rang the doorbell and waited.
Yes?
Mrs. Fenton?
Yes, that's right. What is it you want?
Police officers would like to talk to you.
Oh, come in.
Thank you.
It's about Mona, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
I knew something like this would happen. I knew it all along.
Beg your pardon?
When she first had this crazy idea, when she first told me about it, I knew. Kids, try to tell them. Just try, and they tell you that times have changed. They say that you're not keeping up with the time. They know it all. Nobody can tell them anything.
Well, what idea is this, Mrs. Fenton?
When she wanted to quit school and take the job in that drive-in restaurant, the most ridiculous thing I ever heard of. But nobody could talk her out of it. Lord knows I tried. I knew something like this would happen. I just knew it.
Yes, ma'am. Do you know any reason why your daughter might want to take her own life?
Are you a policeman, too?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Frank Smith. This is my partner, Joe Friday.
How do you do?
How are you, ma'am? Do you know any reason why your daughter might want to kill herself?
It's a little hard to say, Mr. Friday.
What's that?
Mona and I had quite an argument about her leaving school. It was one of those silly things that starts and gets all out of hand, you know. We both have pride, and neither one of us was going to back down.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen Mona to talk to for over a month.
Does she live here, ma'am?
Yes, she does, Mr. Smith. But there's an outside entrance to her room. She comes and goes as she pleases. Doesn't eat her meals here, so I hardly ever see her.
Mm-hmm. Do you know if she's been under a doctor's care?
No, I don't think so. Why do you ask that?
Well, is your daughter a diabetic?
No, she isn't, Mr. Friday. Well, these questions about Mona and a doctor, what are you trying to find out?
Does your daughter have any special boyfriends, Mrs. Fenton?
She did have.
Who was that?
Richard Burdick, nice boy. Mona and he were planning to get married when they got out of school. Then, along with everything else, that just blew up. Everything seemed to go all at the same time.
Did your daughter have any trouble with this Burdick?
No, nothing you could call real trouble. It's just that they agreed to disagree. It was Mona's idea. Richard didn't want anything to change. He was very much in love with her.
Uh-huh.
Does he know about this?
I don't think so, Miss Fenton. We haven't told him.
I don't know what he's going to do when he hears about it. It's going to hit him awfully hard. He's the sensitive type.
Does your daughter have any close friends that she might confide in?
I suppose she does. She's talked about some of the girls where she worked.
Would you give us their names, please?
Well, yes, I will. I'll write them down for you, those I can remember.
All right, fine. Has your daughter been in good spirits lately?
As far as I know, yes. She's always seemed happy enough when I saw her. I told you we haven't said much more than hello the last month, but she seemed happy.
Mm-hmm. You said that she broke up with this Burdick boy. Is that right?
Yes.
When was that?
6 weeks, 2 months ago.
You know what caused it?
The job, all the other things. Mona kept making dates with him and then breaking them at the last minute. I guess Richard just got tired of being stood up.
Well, did he and your daughter have any arguments that you know of?
No. They just decided that it wouldn't work out for them. They just decided to stop seeing each other.
Did your daughter have any other steady boyfriends? Anyone that she saw quite a bit of, maybe?
Well, there was one boy. He was quite a bit older than Mona. She saw a lot of him the last couple of weeks.
You know who he was?
No, I never met him. I only saw him once.
What if you could describe him for us?
No, I'm afraid I can't. He drove by for Mona one night, going to pick her up for a date. Parked out in front and honked the horn.
I see.
I went to the front door to tell him to come in. Mona wasn't ready yet, but he wouldn't. Just sat out there and waited. I didn't get a good look at him.
Could you describe the car for us?
Not good. It was one of those foreign cars, a convertible. I think it might have been a Jaguar. I'm not sure about that, though.
But you're sure it wasn't an American automobile?
Yes, I'm sure about that.
All right. How about the color of the car? Can you tell us that?
It was awfully dark out there. I'm not sure. I'd rather not say, officer, if I can't be sure. You understand that. I wouldn't want to tell you something and then have it turn out to be wrong. You can understand that, can't you?
Yes, ma'am, of course.
Did you see Mona this morning?
Yes, we did.
Is she all right?
They think so, yes.
Aren't you sure?
Well, when we talked to the doctor, they were doing everything they could. They seemed to think that she was going to be all right.
Thank God. It's so hard, Mr. Friday, to know that your child is sick, that she tried to kill herself, to want to go to her and not be able to. It's so hard.
Try to take it easy if you can, Miss Fenton. If you'll just give us the names of the girls that she might know, we'll be on our way.
Yes, I'll write them for you.
Thank you.
Excuse me?
Shirley?
Hello? Yes, it is. What? Yes, they're here. Just a moment. It's for you.
I'll get it, Joe.
I'll get those names for you, Mr. Friday.
All right, fine. Did your daughter ever refer to this man in the foreign car by name?
No, I don't think she did. All I know is that whenever she went out with him, it was the big date of the bunch.
How often did she see him?
Maybe a couple of times a week. Might have been more. I had no way of knowing what she was doing. She kept pretty much to herself when she met him, but I could tell he was the big thing in her life. He was it.
Joe? Yeah. See a minute? Yes. Excuse me, Miss Fenn.
I'll finish this list.
Thank you.
Yeah. Call was from Jack Smyers at the office.
Yeah.
Just removed her to the general hospital.
Yeah.
She had a relapse. They don't think she's going to live.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
There are good reasons why thousands of people are changing to Chesterfield every day. Why Chesterfield is the largest selling two-way cigarette in America. Why Chesterfield is best for me and best for you. People these days want facts. When you want people to use your product, you have to tell them what effect it has on people who do use it regularly. That's why a doctor has examined for almost 2 years a large group of Chesterfield smokers. 45% of them have, on the average, been smoking Chesterfields for well over 10 years. What is the effect on these people from smoking Chesterfield? No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses, says the doctor. Consider Chesterfield's record with these smokers, with millions of other smokers throughout America. Another good reason for you to change to Chesterfield. Regular or king size, Chesterfield is best for me, best for you.
We obtained the name of the drive-in restaurant where the Fenton girl was employed. We also got the names of the girls that she worked with and the address of her boyfriend, Richard Burdick. Mrs. Fenton also gave us a list of names of persons who might be able to aid us in the investigation. Under further questioning, the mother was still unable to furnish us with a motive for her daughter's attempt to take her own life. The apparent lack of a motive, or any type of a suicide note, coupled with the bruise on the girl's chin, made the likelihood of foul play more than possible. 12:57 p.m. We left the Fenton home and drove over to the drive-in. We stopped on the way and put in a call to the office. There still hadn't been any report of the handyman at the hotel, the only person who could give us a description of the man who'd registered at the place with the Fenton girl. When we got to the drive-in, we asked about a Peggy Greason, one of the girls on the list. After a few minutes, the girl came over to our car.
You want to see me?
You Peggy Greason?
Yeah, why?
We'd like to ask you some questions about Mona Fenton.
Who are you guys?
Police officers. We'd just like to talk to you.
I got to get it okayed with the manager. I'm on duty now, lunchtime. Pretty busy. I got to get it okayed.
I'll take care of it.
All right, fine.
I'll check with the manager, Joe.
Right.
Hope this isn't going to take long. I got a couple of customers waiting for orders.
My partner will take care of it.
Well, ain't the manager knowing that worries me. It's the tips they're going to leave. Make what I do, and the tips are important.
Yes, ma'am.
What's all this about Mona, anyway? What are the cops after her for?
Well, she tried to kill herself this morning.
Mona?
Yes.
Why? Why'd you do a thing like that?
Well, we thought maybe you could help us there.
Why, me? I haven't got anything to do with it.
Well, we understand you're pretty friendly with it.
Well, sure, I was a friend of Mona's, but I don't know anything about no suicide. I don't know anything about it, and I don't want to.
Do you know any reason she might try to take her own life?
Not a reason in the world. Not Mona.
Do you know if she was under a doctor's care for any reason?
No. I don't know. She didn't say anything about it, never said a word. Was she?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out. Can you think of any enemies she had? Anybody who might have wanted to hurt her?
How far is this going to go?
Well, how do you mean, miss?
Who's going to hear about this? Who's going to hear the answers I'm going to give you?
Well, no one. Now, what do you got for us?
Well, I'll give you this for free. If anything happened to Mona, you go talk to Dick Burdick. Talk to him. He'll be able to tell you.
Why do you say that?
Because it's true. No other reason. He's a real bum. You ask me, I think there's something wrong with him. In the head.
Would you have any reason to say that?
All the reason in the world. Poor girl, this bum all the time coming around giving her trouble. All the time telling her how he's going to kill her and anybody that comes near her.
Burdick said that to Miss Fenton, did he?
Half a dozen times. Wasn't more than a week ago. Mona told me she told him off, told him to get lost. She wanted any part of him, to leave her alone. He made a big scene. Mona told me all about it. One day this Terry drove in here. Got one of those flashy foreign cars.
The Jaguar?
I think so, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Well, one day he drove into the place. Mona took care of him. I guess he liked Mona. He kept coming back, always parked in her station. Anyway, this Burdick kid found out about it. Wasn't anything for him to worry about, but he made a big thing about it. Told Mona she was supposed to stop seeing Terry. Said if she didn't, he was going to cause real trouble.
Did he say what he was going to do?
Well, I think he was kidding. I don't think he really meant it. He's just a kid.
What did he say?
I really don't think he meant it.
Well, all right. Now, what did he say to her?
Said if he found them together again, kill them both.
We talked to the other girls in the drive-in. From them, we got the same story about the scenes that Richard Burdick had created. We got more information about the threats that he'd made against the Fenton girl and Terry Hamilton. From one of the girls, we got the address of Hamilton. 2:45 p.m. We left the drive-in and drove over to the address of the girl's boyfriend, Richard Burdick. We talked to the landlady. She told us that the Burdick boy had regular habits. He paid his rent on time. He never had any visitors. She told us that he wasn't in his room at that time, but she said that she'd let us in. In her company, we went upstairs. She unlocked the door, and Frank and I went in. Want to check the bedroom? I'll take the kitchen.
Yeah.
There's nothing out there. How'd you do?
Well, looks like we're a little late.
What?
His clothes are gone.
We checked the room further. Every indication was that Richard Burdick had left the apartment in a hurry. We talked to the landlady again. She could give us no reason for his disappearance. She gave us the name of his employer. We put in a call to them, but they told us that Burdick had failed to show up for work that day. 4:15 p.m. We put in a call to the hotel on Grand Avenue, but the handyman still hadn't returned and there'd been no word from him. We went back to the office and checked the name Richard Burdick through R&I, but we found no criminal record for anybody answering his description. We put out a local and an APB on him. At 4:39 p.m., we got a call from General Hospital telling us that the Fenton girl had regained consciousness and that we could talk to her. Frank and I left the office and traveled Code 2 out to the hospital. The doctor on duty told us that the girl was out of danger, but that she was very weak. He asked us not to get her excited, and he led us into her room. Miss Fenton?
Yes, who are you?
Police officers.
Why can't you leave me alone? Go away.
Just a couple of questions we'd like to ask you.
I don't want to talk to anybody. Why didn't you leave things the way they were? Why didn't you leave me alone?
Well, you had a lot of people worried, miss.
No reason for it. Be better all the way around if things had happened the way I planned them.
And you did try to kill yourself.
Yes.
Who was with you in that hotel room?
You mean Mr. Morris?
Yeah.
It was Terry. It was always Terry. He was going to marry me, then he didn't. He said he would, and he didn't.
That why you did what you did?
Yes.
You use narcotics, Miss Fenton?
Hmm?
You use narcotics?
Yes, that was Terry's idea, too. I think that's all he wanted with me, just to get me hooked so I'd have to do what he said. I think that was the reason.
How about this Richard Burdick?
What about him?
Do you have anything to do with you deciding to take your own life?
In a lot of ways. The biggest mistake I ever made was leaving Richard. I thought it was smart, real smart. I was going to show him. Terry said he'd marry me, said he was in love with me.
He get you started on narcotics?
Yeah. At first it wasn't so bad. I loved him, really I did. Then when I had to have the fixes, he changed. Told me he couldn't give it to me anymore, that I was going to have to pay for it. I tried to tell him that I loved him, that I wanted to be with him. That's why I went to the hotel to talk it over. Try to come to an understanding, some kind of an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he didn't want to have anything to do with me, that he wanted no part of me anymore. Said that I was going to have to pay for the H from now on. I didn't have any way to pay for it. He said it wasn't any of his business.
Is he a user?
Yes. All so stupid,
Ma'am?
The whole thing, I had it real good all the way around. And then I went ahead and ruined everything, tore it all down. Even if I'd have killed myself, it would have been no answer. Not the right answer, anyway. I know that. I know it real well.
All right. Can you tell us where we can find this Terry?
You bet I can. I want to see him feel like I do. I want him to know what it's like.
Will you be willing to meet with him? Make a buy of narcotics for us?
You name the time, I'll be there. I'll be there if I have to crawl.
All right. You better get some rest now.
I guess so. I'm pretty tired. Did you see my mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Is she real mad at me?
No, I don't think she is.
Would you call her? Ask her to come and see me. Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I want to see her.
No, she'd be glad to hear that.
I hope so. I got so much to tell her and Richard.
It's to tell them both.
All right, Miss Fenton. We'll get in touch with her.
And you tell me when you want me to call Terry. You tell me.
All right, we will.
Terrible thing, isn't it?
What's that?
Terry. He's been around a long time. Must be other girls in the same fix all because of him. Girls who have a bad habit and have to do what he says. Girls like me, terrible. Nobody knows how many.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's it going to end?
When you meet him.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 10th, trial was held in Department 98, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Veneman. Obviously, it would be impossible for you to question all the Chesterfield smokers that you'd run into, yet we're convinced that you want to know what effect the product has on people who do use it regularly. Well, Chesterfield tells you. Now, you've heard the report from the doctor who's been examining Chesterfield smokers. No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield. I think it would make good sense for you to change to Chesterfield today. Smoke America's most popular two-way cigarette. Regular or king size. You'll find Chesterfield's best for you.
Terry Norris Hamilton was tried and convicted of violation of the State Narcotics Act, a felony, 1 count. He received sentence as prescribed by law. Violation of the State Narcotics Act, a felony, is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of from 1 to 5 years. Mona Irene Fenton pled guilty to the same charge and was placed on probation for a period of 3 years, with the provision that she be placed under the care of a competent psychiatrist. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Rodman, Virginia Gregg, Gene Tatum. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely different Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Announcing the best of filter cigarettes, L&M filters. The L&M filter is entirely pure, harmless to health. Filters out the heavy particles in the smoke, gives you more flavor, less nicotine. L&M filters and Fatima with tips of perfect cork, both made and guaranteed by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers Tobacco Company.
Hear John Cameron Swayze and the news next on the NBC Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. An elderly woman in your city has disappeared. There's no lead to where she's gone or why she left. Your job? Find her.
It was Wednesday, July 14th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. We were on our way out from the office, and it was 9:47 a.m. when we got to 654 Kenmore Avenue.
Yes?
Miss Crocker?
It's Miss Crocker, but I'm her.
Police officers.
Oh, yeah, come in.
Thank you. This is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
Oh, how you doing, man? Just sit down there on the couch. Move that Afghan. I was laying down when you got here. Terrible thing. I just know it.
Yes, ma'am. If you tell us about it, please.
You just bet I will. First off, can I get you something? Maybe a cup of coffee, a little piece of cinnamon toast?
No, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. You change your mind, you just let me know.
Yes, we will. Now, if you just tell us about Miss Gillespie, please.
I hope if anything ever happens to me, I get this kind of service.
Yes, ma'am. Are you a friend of Mrs. Gillespie?
Her best. That's why I know something's happened to her.
Uh-huh.
She wouldn't just take off like this without telling me. Matter of fact, she didn't tell nobody. Just all of a sudden, she was gone.
All right, if you'd start right at the beginning and just tell us the whole story, please.
Well, Bertha Gillespie and me been friends for years.
I see.
Her and me been friends for years, ever since her husband died and she opened up the tea cozy. That's the little tea shop she has.
Yeah.
Nice place. She's done real good with it. All the ladies in the neighborhood go down there for afternoon tea. Serve those little tiny cake rolls with a pot of tea. Ladies' fingers, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, a couple of days ago, I went down there to see Bertha.
You know what day that was?
Hmm?
I said, do you know the exact date?
Oh, now, let's see. This is Wednesday. I guess it must have been Saturday. Yes, that's it, Saturday.
All right, would you like to go ahead, please?
Well, I went down to the tea cozy, and there was a sign right on the door telling how Bertha was sick and she'd gone away for a couple of days.
Was she in poor health?
Bertha?
Yes, ma'am.
Bertha was as strong as an ox. Nothing wrong with her. Besides that, I saw her only Friday night. She didn't say nothing to me about being sick. Not a word.
I see.
That's what made me figure that there was something wrong. For the past 10 years, if there was anything on Bertha's mind, she told me about it. You suspect she did.
Well, isn't it possible that she just used the pretended illness as an excuse? That she just went away on a trip, maybe?
Oh, Bertha wouldn't do that.
Why do you say that?
Well, because she just wouldn't do it. Not with Saturday coming up. There isn't anything in the world that could make Bertha leave.
Well, what's happening Saturday?
Scrabble.
Beg pardon?
Scrabble. You know, the word game?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, the ladies in the neighborhood have a sort of club. We meet down at the cozy and play our tournaments. Bertha's the champion. Hasn't been anybody that can beat her real good. You know, not regular.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why she wouldn't leave. This Saturday was her first big match outside the club. Woman from West Los Angeles was coming out here to challenge her. Bertha's been in training all week. Well, she wouldn't just walk out on the match. I'm telling you, officers, there's something wrong.
Well, has Mrs. Gillespie any relatives here in Los Angeles?
No. No, she's got some people back east. Mississippi, I think.
Possible she might have left to go see them?
I told you. Not with the big match coming on. Ain't nothing in the world that could keep Bertha from playing in that. Nothing, and you believe it.
Yes, ma'am. Does she have any men friends?
Well, you mean romantic?
Yes.
Well, there's Chester, but that's not what I'd call a real romance. Bertha'd go out to the movies with him once in a while. Maybe he'd come over to the tea cozy of an evening, and they'd sit there and watch the television. But there'd always be somebody else there, mostly me. No, you couldn't say that it was any kind of a romance with Chester.
You have his address?
You going to talk to him?
Yes, we'll have.
It won't be any good. I already did. He don't know where Bertha is.
If you'll just give us the phone number of this Chester, we'll check on your friend.
Yeah, you check. You'll find out what I said is true.
Yes, ma'am.
I think somebody done Bertha in. She wouldn't just take off like this without telling me.
Well, now, ma'am, did she have any enemies in the neighborhood? Anybody that you think might want to do her harm?
No, not a soul, not a single one. Isn't anyone who didn't like her. Well, maybe Mrs. Lumen didn't care much for her, but I think that was kind of a jealous thing.
What do you mean?
Scrabble.
What was that?
Mrs. Lumen, Helen. She thought she could play the game. Then when she challenged Bertha to a match, it was pretty terrible. 4:57 to 2:14. Helen was pretty upset. She tried to make out like she was a good loser, you know, kind of smiles and laughs. But I could tell. He didn't like being skunked.
Yes, ma'am. Can you think of any reason why anyone would want to harm Miss Gillespie?
Well, not right off unless it was for money.
What?
Last time I saw her, she was carrying a lot of cash money around with her.
Yeah.
$2,500.
10:33 a.m. We put in a call to missing persons detail and checked the name Bertha Gillespie through the file. There'd been no report filed on her, and her name did not appear in the Gaga file. We checked the name through R&I, but she had no criminal record in Los Angeles. 10:47 a.m.
We drove by the Tea Cozy restaurant. On the front door, attached with cellophane tape, was a hand-lettered note reading, "Taking a short vacation. Watch for reopening." Through the glass pane, we could see the interior of the shop. Everything appeared to be in order. Frank and I checked the rear of the building, but from what we could see, there was nothing out of line. 11:28 a.m. We put in a call to the missing woman's boyfriend, Chester Avon. He told us that he'd talked to the Gillespie woman on the previous Friday night, and she'd appeared in good spirits and had said nothing about leaving. We checked at her bank. We found that she'd made a withdrawal from her savings account to the amount of $2,500. This left a balance of over $12,000 in the savings account, $6,000 in the checking account. The manager of the branch told us that he'd spoken with Mrs. Gillespie when she'd taken the money, and that she told him that she was thinking of taking a short vacation. We got in touch with Miss Crocker and told her what we'd found. We asked her if she wanted to file a missing persons report. She said that she'd wait until the end of the week, and if her friend hadn't returned by then, that she'd come into the office. A month passed before we heard from her again. On the morning of Friday, August 20th, she called to tell us that she still hadn't heard from Mrs. Gillespie and asked that we conduct a formal investigation. She came down to the office and filled out a Form 316. Frank and I drove out to the restaurant to check it again. It was exactly as it had been when we'd last seen it. We tried the doors and found that they were still locked. 1:43 p.m. We went back to the office.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of high, isn't it? Yeah. Well, did your people check into it? I see. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Mr. Jones. If you find out anything, we'd appreciate it if you'd give us a call. Right. That's Michigan 5211, extension 2521. Yes, sir. Either Officer Frank Smith or Sergeant Joe Friday. That's right. Thanks for your help. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Goodbye. Well, that finishes up the utility calls.
Well, what do you got?
Telephone bill for the past 30 days is just the service charge, no toll calls. Same with the electric lights.
Uh-huh. They received payment in the last month, did they?
No. Telephone company says they haven't been paid in over 60 days. Says they've sent a couple of reminders.
Uh-huh.
Only reason they haven't cut off the service is the bills have always been paid promptly in the past. I checked with their business office. Girl tells me the bill usually runs around $10.
Possible, then, that the phone hasn't been used at all, huh?
Well, it shapes up that way. Same with the lights. The one thing doesn't match.
Yeah, what's that?
The water bill. I checked with them. Normal bill's about $4 for the place.
Yeah.
The last 60 days, it's been $79.
That's a lot of water, isn't it?
Yeah. I talked to one of the engineers at the company, a fellow named Jones.
Yeah, what'd he tell you?
Well, he told me there was only one thing that could cause a water jump like that.
Yeah.
A water tap.
Yeah.
Running for about a month.
2:06 p.m. We called the bank where Mrs. Gillespie had her accounts. The head cashier told us that since the date she'd withdrawn the $2,500, there'd been no deposits or withdrawals made. We telephoned the missing woman's friend, Mrs. Winifred Crocker. From her, we got the name and address of the owner of the building where the Tea Cozy restaurant was located. Frank and I signed out of the office and drove out to see him. The address we'd been given was a large house in the Silver Lake district. We rang the bell to the front door, but we got no answer. We walked around to the back of the property to a large garage.
Joe, if we find this guy, we can find out if she gave him some indication she was going to leave.
Yeah. Sounds like there's somebody there.
Yeah.
In here, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Yeah?
We'd like to see Virgil Medina.
I'm him. What do you want?
Police officers. We'd like to check out a few things with you if we can.
What about?
Well, it might be easier if we talked inside.
I got no talk with the cops. I got none and I want none. Now you can just ask your questions from out there.
All right, sir. That's the way you want it.
Well, that's the way it's going to be. Now get your questions asked and go about your business.
You own a building located at 687 Kenmore Avenue?
Why?
Look, Mr. Medina, we're trying to conduct an investigation. We'd like to have your cooperation. If you don't want to talk here, we can go downtown.
I own the building. Why?
You have a tenant named Bertha Gillespie?
Yes. Why?
When did you see her last?
Well, about a month ago, at least that.
Do you remember the exact date?
I don't know. It's a long time ago. What's all this about Bertha anyway? What are all these questions? You got something you want to know about her? Go ask her yourself. Anything I can tell you that she can't, go talk to her. Leave me alone.
Where'd you see her last?
Down at the restaurant.
What time of day?
Nighttime.
Would you try to remember what date it was? It's pretty important.
Wait a minute. I'll try to figure. See, I guess it must have been on a Saturday night. Yes, I'd say it was Saturday, the 10th of July.
Do you have any way of being sure that that's the date?
Now, look, you come around here asking questions, and I've given you an answer. You can take it or leave it.
I got no way of being sure. That's the day I think I saw her last.
She seem in good spirits?
What do you mean by that?
Well, sir, was she happy or was there something worrying her?
Well, she seemed happy to me. I didn't pay a lot of attention. What are you cops trying to find out? You come right out and tell me what you want, and maybe I'll have the answer. But I haven't got time to stand around and waste time with you. Now, you tell me why you're asking these questions, or you can leave.
Mrs. Gillespie's been reported missing. We're trying to trace it.
Well, who done that? Who says she's missing?
Well, that's not the important point here. We got the report. We've got to check it out.
Well, whoever told you that's crazy? If Bertha's gone, there's a good reason for it. I guess she just finally got fed up and left town.
What do you mean?
She made a mint of money from that place. Regular mint. She used to tell me that when she had enough, she was going to just take off and see the world. Go around the whole world on a tramp steamer. She told me when she signed the last lease that she thought this would be the last one. She ain't missing. She just gone.
Did she say anything to you about the fixtures in the place?
What do you mean?
Well, you know, the furniture, all the fixtures. They belong to her, don't they?
Yes, I guess so.
Will she make any arrangements to dispose of them?
Not to me, she didn't.
Wonder if you have a key to the place.
The tea cozy?
Yes, sir.
No, I don't.
You own the building and you don't have a key to the restaurant?
Well, no, I had one, but I lost it. Never had another one made. Why? What do you want with the key?
We want to check the premises.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you got no right to do that. The place belongs to Mrs. Gillespie. You got no right to go tromping around in there.
Afraid we're going to have to.
Then you're going to do it without my say-so.
All right, sir, if that's the way it's going to be.
I'm telling you, she ain't going to like it. She ain't going to like you going to the place when she isn't there.
Well, we take that up with her.
Well, you better, because I'm not going to take any responsibility for it.
We're not asking you to, Mr. Medina.
I'll give you this, though.
Yes, sir, what's that?
You go nosing around, you're liable to come up with something that you ain't looking for.
Well, thanks for your help, Mr. Medina.
Don't mention it. Just remember what I told you about finding trouble when you ain't looking for it.
Well, that doesn't happen often.
Huh?
We're looking for it. 3:14 p.m. Frank and I drove back to the Tea Cozy restaurant on Kenmore Avenue. We checked the front door of the place. It was locked. While Frank covered one side of the building, I took the other side, looking for open windows.
How about it?
No luck.
Me neither. What do we do now?
Well, we'll have to try to force one of the windows in the back.
All right.
Come on. I think maybe we can get in here.
You gonna break it?
Well, we're gonna have to.
Wait a minute, Joe.
Huh?
You hear water running? Sounds like it's coming from inside.
Yeah, might be. Well, let's get in there.
You want my gun?
No, I'll use the handcuffs. See if I can knock a hole in the top half of the window here.
Wait a minute. You better use your handkerchief.
Let me borrow yours.
There.
All right. Now, look. There, that does it. I'll go in and open the door.
Yeah, I'll meet you out in front.
Right. Right?
Yeah, here.
Come on in.
See anything?
No, I haven't looked yet.
Well, this must be the living room.
Yeah.
Everything looks okay here. A little dusty.
Yeah. Water's running someplace. Wait a minute. Sounds like it's come from over there. Yeah. Better turn it off.
Yeah. Better call the crime lab, huh?
Yeah. Kind of a rough one, isn't it?
Yeah. Looks like she put up quite a fight. Bloodstains all over the place.
Yeah. Look here.
Huh?
I guess this is what killed her.
Yeah.
Butcher knife. From a picture and the description that we'd gotten from Winifred Crocker, we identified the victim as the missing woman, Bertha Gillespie. We put in a call for the crime lab. Lee Jones and his crew came out and went over the place. The rest of the restaurant seemed to be in order. There was no sign of a struggle of any kind except in the bathroom where the body had been found. The murder weapon, the butcher knife, was dusted for prints, as was the rest of the restaurant, but the partials that the crime lab came up with were worthless for classification. They would be sufficient, however, for comparison if we caught the killer. A search of the personal effects of the dead woman revealed no further information to aid us in apprehending her killer. The $2,500 that she was known to have had when she was last seen was missing. 6:21, the men from the crime lab finished their investigation on the scene, and the coroner's office was called. They came out and removed the body. They also locked the door and affixed the coroner's seal. 6:45 p.m. Frank and I got back to our car to go down to the office. Now, let's go, Frank.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute.
Hold it, Frank.
Huh? That's the little kid.
You guys the cops?
Yeah, son, what's the matter?
A lot of excitement around here, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Something we can do for you?
No, I figured maybe there's something I can do for you.
What do you mean?
You know who did the murder yet?
Well, why do you say it was a murder, son?
I know who did it.
The working detective has learned by experience that approximately 60% of all homicides are solved within 20 minutes after the arrival of the authorities. Two things are necessary in establishing the identity of a killer: motive and opportunity. In the present instance, we had the motive. $2,500 that the dead woman had withdrawn from her account was missing. However, a month had passed between the time the actual murder had taken place and it had been discovered. Ample time for the killer to cover his tracks. Now, before we could leave the scene, we had a witness who stated that he could name the killer for us. We asked the boy to get into the back seat of the police car while Frank and I questioned him.
What's your name, son?
Gordon, Eric. Kids always call me Gordy.
Uh-huh. How old are you?
7.
Now, what's all this about you being able to tell us who killed Mrs. Gillespie?
I can.
Well, who was it?
Mr. Medina.
You mean the man who owns the building?
Yeah, that's who I mean.
Well, that's a pretty serious charge, Gordon. Do you have any way to prove that?
Guess I really can't prove it, but I know it's true.
Well, how do you know?
I just know, that's all. I seen him there. I just seen him going in and out.
Well, when was this?
3 weeks ago. Maybe a month. But he used to go in and out all the time. Argue with Mrs. Gillespie.
What do you mean by argument?
No, Mr. Medina screamed at Mrs. Gillespie.
Will you ever hear any of these arguments, son?
Sure. My mother's a friend of Mr. Gillespie. We just live a couple blocks away on Dewey Street. I play over here all the time. I've heard Mr. Medina yell at her.
What'd they argue about, son?
Mostly about a lease or something. Seems like Mr. Medina wants Mrs. Gillespie to move out. She didn't want him. Made him pretty sore. You gotta talk to him. He'll tell you the same thing. About how he used to fight with her.
All right, son. Your mother ever hear any of these fights?
Sure. You ask her. She'll tell you the same way just as I did.
Okay, is she home now?
Should be. Maybe she went out to the store or something. She should be home.
Okay, son. Let's go, Frank.
Yeah.
Guess this is about the most excitement we've had for a long time.
Yeah?
Poor old Mrs. Gillespie. Sure a nice old lady. Real nice.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't hardly anybody that didn't like her. Hardly anybody.
How about Mr. Medina? 7:04 p.m. We drove young Gordon Eric to his home and talked with his mother. She verified his story about the arguments between the victim and Medina. She went on to say that Medina had threatened Mrs. Gillespie, saying that if she wouldn't vacate the premises, he'd take care of her. We had their statements taken, and at 8:40 p.m. we went by Medina's house and asked him to accompany us downtown. He finally agreed, although he was sullen and uncooperative. When we got him down to the office, we checked his name through the record bureau, but we found that he had no criminal record in Los Angeles. His prints were rolled and sent to Holland Stall for comparison with those found on the murder weapon. While we waited for the results, we talked to him in the squad room.
You're going to regret this, you know that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you're dragging me down here with all these questions. You just wait till my lawyers get here. You'll put a stop to all this foolishness.
You want to tell us what it's all about, Medina?
Tell you about what? How one of my tenants got himself killed? Now listen, I got property all over town, a lot of tenants. I worried about each one of them. I wouldn't have no time to do nothing else.
We understand you had some pretty big arguments with Mrs. Gillespie.
Who said that? Who told you that?
Is it true?
Why, it's a lie. You bring the person in here who said it, and I'll tell them it's a lie right to their face. You just bring them in here.
We can't do that, and you know it.
Yeah, of course you can. You know why? You want me to tell you?
Go ahead, you tell me.
You can't show the person who said that because there ain't no such person. There's anybody in the world who says, I'll argue with Bertha.
Uh-huh. You try to get her to break her lease with you?
That's none of your business. I told you before, I'm not about to answer a lot of questions that aren't none of your concern.
A couple of things we better set you straight on, mister. You're a suspect in a murder. Now, if you're smart, you're going to realize that and give us some straight answers.
You just wait till my lawyer gets here. He'll take care of all this. He's going to fix you for taking my fingerprints. I still don't think you had any right to do that. No right at all.
Oh, yes. Homicide Friday. Yeah, Harlan. Amen. All right. Thank you. You want to tell us why you killed her, Medina?
What are you talking about?
That was our fingerprint man. They checked your prints against the ones we found on the murder night. They match perfectly.
You sure, are they?
They're sure.
I didn't mean to do it. I really didn't mean to, honestly. Just all of a sudden, I got so mad. I was standing there smiling. You should have known this. She had a way of smiling at you, and you knew that there wasn't anything that you could do. You just stand there smiling. I didn't mean to kill her, though. You got to believe that I didn't mean to kill her.
Want to tell us how it happened?
Have you got a cigarette?
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks.
Here's a match.
I had a chance to lease the place to some other people. More money. I tried to get her out.
Go ahead.
I tried to talk to her. I tried to get her to retire. She had enough money. She didn't ever have to worry. All I wanted to do was to get out. But she wouldn't. She said I'd signed a lease with her and she was going to keep it.
How much difference was there between what she was paying and what the new people were going to give you?
$50 a month.
You killed her for that?
Oh, yeah, you don't understand. You got to try. Now, really, this is important. If you knew better, you'd know why I did it. You see, I went to her. I told her that I'd give her a lease on another piece of property. I'd give it to her at less money. I was trying to be fair. You can see that. I wanted to be fair. Mm-hmm. Well, that Saturday night, I decided to have it out with her. I went over to talk, tried to convince her. But she wouldn't listen. She just wouldn't listen. I tried everything to make her listen, but she wouldn't. She just stood there and told me that she had the lease and she was going to keep it. She just stood there with that superior smile of hers, like she knew it all. Makes you want to hit her as hard as you could. If you knew her, you'd see what I mean. You'd see.
You take the money?
Yes. I don't know why I did that. Just all of a sudden, I got so mad at her, I picked up the knife, and I killed her. I didn't mean to, honest, I didn't. As soon as I saw her, I was sorry. I was real sorry.
Yeah. Did you turn that water on?
Well, I guess so. You see, I don't remember too good. I washed my hands after I killed her. I remember that. I guess I did leave the water on. I guess I did, yeah.
All right. Do you want to get the stenographer, Frank?
Sure.
Thanks.
You'd seen the way she thought she was so much better than anybody else, you know.
Is that right?
Sure. All those old hens clucking around her all the time, building her up, making her feel superior, real superior.
Mm-hmm.
If she just moved out, if she just let me have the place, it all would have been all right. If she'd just done that. That's a lot of money, you know. $50 a month. That's what I stood to make on the deal.
Yeah.
It was worth it, don't you think? $50 a month without turning a hand? Everybody'd figured that way, wouldn't they? Well, everybody'd think so.
Now, when you get where you're going, you can ask him.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 10th, trial was held in Department 97, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. Virgil Emil Medina was tried and convicted of murder in the second degree and received sentence as prescribed by law. Murder in the second degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of from 5 years to life.